How Bizarre is intended for mature, open-minded audiences only. If you are easily offended, we suggest you turn this wacky shit straight off.
So my parents got Roku. They're fairly new to it. They got the little stick. And they noticed, they've been having issues with it. They noticed every time. This is crazy. And I've looked it up. I can't find anything about this. They noticed that every time my mom gets up from the couch, the Roku resets itself, like hard resets. Not factory resets, but goes, it's like you went over, unplugged it, and plugged it back in. Now, she's got a pacemaker, so at first we were like, oh, that's got to be it. She's wigging it out. But then my dad tried it, and it does the same thing with him. And then I tried it when I went over there, and it does. It's just being in that spot. And I don't understand it because it's not breaking any logical signal. Like their Wi-Fi is literally directly underneath it on the shelf down in the entertainment center.
Does the Roku stick have like a power supply like the Fire Stick does? You have to plug it in or anything?
Yeah.
Is it plugged in to the couch behind the couch there? Maybe like sitting.
Nope. It's plugged in right. Everything is logically set up. It's like all the TV shit is all plugged in right behind the entertainment center. The couch is, so if you picture the living room being a square, the couch is along the left wall and the TV is on the front wall, if that makes sense. Like it's not opposite, but they form an L pattern, if you feel me.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm at your parents' house.
There's no logic to it, and I can't find anybody. I can't even find the question. Sometimes when you research something on the interwebs, you can at least find other people asking the question, even if they haven't found the answer. Well, I can't even find people to ask the question.
Here's a blind shot in the dark. Or what I would think that it would possibly be is that it does have a lot of backdoor kind of
how dare you? This is my mother we're talking about.
Filters or spying on you. You know what I mean? Like mine's got a built-in Alexa. I turn that shit off because I don't want to be talking and have it just turn on and do things. Mm-hmm. What I'm thinking is it maybe has some kind of because it's not that difficult to have a sensor in the front of it that would sense you getting up and moving and whatnot to turn itself on or off. I would go into the settings and shut all that shit off.
It's worth a try. It's not logical, but none of it is.
Is there like a clapper attached to it?
Although it's not, you can't see it. It's hidden behind, it's plugged into an HDMI slot behind the TV.
Well, I would shut all those functions off and just leave it as what it is. Like I said, I had to go through mine. They tell you that too. Mm-hmm. If you get on YouTube, they say, hey, the first thing you need to do is just fucking turn it off.
Tell it to mind its own.
Turn it off.
Biz, boy. It's all watching us.
Spyware. It's the when it's listening to you, you don't want any of that shit. You don't want them marketing. They want to ask if you could sneak in ads to your shows.
It doesn't make any sense. Why would reset it?
No, I don't want that.
What setting would be like, yes, please reset every time you hear something?
But to Lyle's point, it's something crazy, and it could be something that's trying to work. But isn't like, sometimes disabling. It's worth a try. I hadn't thought about going in and tweaking any of the settings yet.
Have you unplugged it and plugged it back in?
Yeah, did that about 100 times. It kind of does itself when it's.
I've never heard of that technique.
It's so fucking bizarre. And they called tech support, and of course that's all they got was did you unplug? You gotta ask. Some people don't know that even now. But
to answer your question at the very beginning is that a lot of those channels they have like 24-hour channels. Mm-hmm. Like I was telling you before, they had like a whole Jerry Springer, 24/7
third ring of hell
channel. There's tons of them, but what I did is bookmarked like the good ones. There's like an action one where it had like Die Hards and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. They just play them back to back to back to back movie channel. They had a horror one which was like Friday the 13th. I was hooked on that one for a long time.
There's some good horror ones.
Halloween, they had Halloween on there, and they had Hellraiser, and then there was a drama one, and a couple other ones. But lately, I've been binging The Curse of Oak Island, and prior to cutting cable ties, that was more like one of my favorite shows.
Is that the big hole?
Oh, there's so much more than just that hole. But yeah, it's
That's what she said. You know, Sean.
well, I can give you a quick rundown real fast, but like I only got to like the season 3, and I guess I got like season 9. It's still ongoing right now.
Was this like a History Channel show or
It
Discovery?
was it was a History Channel, I think, show, but it's on Peacock. So if you have that, you could watch it.
Peacock, you mean?
Peacock.
And
Uh-huh.
so what happened was it's a Oak Island is an island just off of Nova Scotia, and these two brothers heard about this lost treasure that happened, and it was called the Money Hole. And so what happened in like the 1700s is 3 kids, they were on an ascending island, and they saw these lights on the island. And they're like, "Fuck, we gotta go check that out." So they got in the rowboat and they rowed out to the middle of this island, and they chased these lights that just kind of went off to the other side of the bay. And they stood there kind of befounded, going, "What the hell was that? And what's going on?" And they look up inside, right there where they were standing. They looked up, and inside the oak tree, one of the branches hanging over was a big old pulley, broken pulley, and half of a rope. So what they figured out, well, shit, they must have been, storing something or grabbing something out of here. And so they started digging, and this is what started it all. And so every 10 feet of digging, they found themselves against a platform of oak logs. And so just befounded, they just pulled the logs, kept digging 10 more feet, another row of logs. And they did this till they got like 90 feet. And they came across this stone. It's a 2 foot by like 12-inch tall little stone that had kind of like scribing on it, gibberish. It didn't really make sense to them. And what it did translate later, they found out later, they had a translator kind of figure it out, the code. But it was basically saying that, in 40 more feet, there's that's where the treasure lies are. And they started digging, and as soon as they did, they broke into a booby trap. There was a waterway that spilled out from the ocean that was dug down to the bottom of that level, and so it basically flooded that entire chamber. Well, this is in the 1700s, right? It goes on until today. The lore and the legend was moved on, and in the 60s, everybody hit it, trying to dig it, and rented the island to excavate it, try to find this money hole. Nobody's ever been able to really find it. Famous, I want to say, Western actor, not Clint Eastwood, but Hy Pilgrim. What's his name?
John Wayne.
Oh, John
John
Wayne.
Wayne. John Wayne dumped just a ton of money into it. And, it never really came up with, they did find like a gold chain, like a little piece of a gold like necklace. And it goes back, what they think is it could be Templar Knights, like the Templars when they were evacuated.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah,
one of
Templar
their
Knights.
many alleged hiding holes, supposedly
that's-
worldwide.
Because they were running away. They were they were all being executed, Even like of Shakespeare's a whole collection of work down in this hole. Which doesn't really make sense because it's underground, but yet they booby trapped it, with water, so it's kind of like really. The thing is,
Goonies shit down there.
it is.
Oh, shit.
It is just like watching the Goonies, kind of like about in real life. And so, like, there's this giant treasure vault, and it's like the 4th season. They know it's there. It's at the bottom of the money hole or whatever. This is what they're searching for. Back in the 1800s, the steam engine kind of turn of the century. They had a guy that drilled down, and I don't really know if it was 160 feet, but he drilled literally through this box. And it basically, if you can imagine, it's a 7-foot tall and like a 12-foot long box, and it had concrete poured on the top of it, probably like 5 inches of concrete over the top. And what happened was they drilled through the box and then pulled up the drill bit, and it had gold on the drill bit, and it had like traces of gold flakes and stuff like that, and it had parchment paper of something that they could only see. All I had was like a V and an I, and that's when they ended up tripping the whole thing and collapsing the tunnel. That was in the 1800s. So nobody's ever been to it, and these yahoos they end up sticking a big old 60-inch, round drilling apparatus, and it goes down.
Called the crippler.
It's the crippler's plug. And so they
Is that what we call it now? An apparatus?
Drilling apparatus.
This is like Al Capone's vault combined with the opening to
Close.
Get Smart. This is what this is. It's just like nothing's ever gonna come of this ever.
Well, here we go. He goes down, and they on this first try, they kind of know the elevation. It's like 140 feet down, and we're gonna hit this. And so like they're drilling, and they pull a core sample from at that depth. They pull a core out. It's like a 2-foot piece of round, like 6-inch round, 2 feet long core. So they pull the core out. And it's sure as shit, it goes concrete. It goes, a wood going in one direction, and then below it is another big old, foot-long sliver of a chunk of wood going the other direction. So basically, like they clipped the corner of that box, just the corner. They clipped it. They didn't go inside of the box. They went right on the manufacturing edging of the box. So, and as far as I know, I'm not sure. I'm only like in the 5th season.
You're going to keep us posted.
They found anything about it. I know they drilled prior to that where they were going to bust into it, and they ended up drilling kind of like and pushing it down. So, because it's all mud and
we don't know what we're doing.
I can't handle this kind of show. It's like the Ghost Hunters. Like literally nothing ever happens. It's like
you don't know until it does. Listen, there's something going on down there. There may not be Knights of the Templar trash, but they've already found gold. They've already found ancient parchment, or at least old shit. I like that there's people looking into it, but I don't. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, just the thought of who did it. The Templar Knight. The thing about the Templars is like at that time, supposedly they had access to the Holy Grail and the Ark of the Covenant, so they think that's what's buried there, deep down.
Now, what remind me what part of the country this is in?
Now we're really
what part of the
stretching.
world?
This is Nova Scotia. It's up in Canada, kind of on the east side. It's an island in the center of their cove called
the Ark of the Covenant is somewhere, John Mark.
Yeah,
may as well be Nova Scotia.
They found Masonic carvings and shit on old ancient fucking stones, like marker stones for like where they would normally pour. And so they were on the run, and it seems like the only where they left last was Ireland. So if you think about the Masons, they all ponied up with all the treasure, mind you, and they went north.
I wonder why they would bother to take selected works of Shakespeare. Like why?
They were guarding.
It's not like those are hard to come by.
Well, if it's unreleased, maybe it was like something that was banned or forbidden and supposed to be burned. Maybe it was thought to be. What's the word? Heretic.
A lot of it is,
heretic. Anti-church.
More religious.
Wasn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Shakespeare considered to be fucking like garbage at the time? Like the lowest form of like entertainment,
like popes.
Yeah,
he was the pope of the day. I don't know that. That's an interesting. There's some interesting things. Well,
sticking to it.
You've heard the theories about. In fact, I was going to have a local director on because he's kind of he wouldn't call himself a Shakespeare expert, but he's definitely a Shakespeare fanatic. But he hadn't really heard too much about this theory that Shakespeare didn't. I can't remember what it was. Like Shakespeare was either multiple people. Or Shakespeare didn't write his own stuff. Like he was getting it. It was more of a Bernie Taupin, Elton John scenario, but not out in the open. I don't remember what that is. Maybe I'll look that up for a future story. But we should get moving on. But it's always curious. Just keep us posted as you get through those series. Who knows how old these programs are at this point? Cool. So we probably know if something major was found.
It's still going. It's on. In fact, the new episode's on tonight. But it's like, season 9. I'm only way back in like season 5. So
yeah. Oh, I see. So it's still on.
Oh yeah.
They could
Spoiler
find something.
alert: nothing happens between season 5 and season 9.
Yeah.
They find the Ark of the Covenant. Tune in next week.
Yeah, joke's
heard
on
of the
you,
Cliff Notes.
motherfucker. When
Crippler notes.
Well, you know what's funny, and I've been thinking about this because I went for a long time without watching TV, so my mind is like just a virgin, fucking baby, smooth as a baby's bottom. Maybe that's not,
impressionable.
maybe it's supposed
Spankable.
maybe it's supposed to be
What?
rigid
No.
and fucking rough because smooth brains aren't cool. But
This is true.
Well, like I
But-
said, when I first got Roku, I went through a whole bunch of channels, and I was like, kind of fun to watch all this weird, obscure shit, and then I just kind of got tired of it. But it is fun to go down a rabbit hole, no pun intended, for a while.
well, nobody's seen me in like a month. I've been pretty much sitting at home watching TV.
It's
but
like, I got to go back to the hole, man.
Well, there was a TV show. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of it, but it's called Appalachian Outlaws, right?
That sounds
So
like
it's
something
kinda
my
like-
parents would watch.
It is.
Bang,
It's
bang, bang,
like-
bang, 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 bang,
back
bang. It's my
guys,
fucking family.
What is it? God, it's where Fallout 4 starts. Appalachians, the West Virginia. Oh yeah, West Virginia. This is where it all is, right? And they're ginseng hunters. So they go around all these mountains, and they're all hillbillies. They look like they should be moonshiners, and they run around doing all this crazy shit. And I'm loving it. I'm watching it. I'm liking it. I think this is funny. This is cool shit. I'll watch it, and I watched the whole season. And I'm like, dude, they go around blowing shit up, robbing people at gunpoint. And I'm like, and it got to the end of the season, and the bad guy kind of gets fucked over, and you're just like going, oh, that was pretty good. And then I waited till the next day, and I'm like, that's all bullshit, right? To myself, because I'm like, dude, you blow somebody's trailer up, and you have witnesses, because there's cameramen watching you do it. It's filmed, it's being recorded, it's also being broadcasted out. So anybody that's in that story's got a TV, they're gonna watch it probably and find out who fucked who over.
Oh yeah, so this was it was presented at like a reality show?
Kind of, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
They're a bunch of ginseng hunters, and so they're digging all.
Well,
this
even the reality shows were never
Well,
real.
it's expensive.
Yeah.
They were given what was $1,000 per pound of ginseng. So there was people.
Ginseng is
Go where
not
the-
that.
Go where the money's at, I guess.
They were jacking.
Probably
people
worth more than booze.
in the show.
Since
They were-
booze is, illegal now.
Yeah, but ginseng's not that rare. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if it was a specific kind. I don't know.
Well, it made me think about the whole
I
fucking.
don't know anything about
Oklahoma.
anything, as it turns
Ginseng even fucking grow in Virginia?
I don't know, but I don't want Oak Island. I don't want Oak Island to be fucking alive.
out. John Mark is actually all over Lyle's fucking fire stick experience. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know enough to know whether it's bullshit or not, but
Show sounds wild.
No, it's actually good. It's good for a laugh.
fucking Ozark or yeah, those are my peeps, even though I never go back to visit them because a lot of those places terrify me. But speaking of peacock and sucking a big fat peacock, we're almost in another Olympics month, which is
Oh no,
Crazy.
Monsters gonna disappear.
I feel like I just ranted about how terribly. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just like Jen. I think Jen mentioned something about the Olympics the other day, and I was like, "What the fuck? Do we have Olympics just constantly now?"
Well, it's every 2 years.
I thought it was supposed to be every 4. I thought it was every 4 years, and now it's like every fucking other month. Oh,
Well, you got the
winter
winter.
time, and
You
it's
got
like,
the Winter Olympics, and then they stagger them. So
That's bullshit.
you got the Winter Olympics, and then 2 years later you got the Summer Olympics. So it's 4 years between each winter and summer, but they do it so that you have.
Well, which one's the cooler one?
That's
Because it'd be
bullshit.
That's a good
Well,
question.
temporarily,
Actually,
or
snowboarding.
I think that has changed, in my opinion, over the years. I used to prefer the Summer Olympics, but later days, I think I tend to get more excited about the Winter Olympics.
Well, some of those
seems like
downhill
there are fewer sports.
girls in there, little.
The luge is where it's at.
Yeah, I love that shit. I love curling is my favorite Olympic sport. And hockey, of course. And so, yeah, I think, but there's some, it's tough. It's probably 50-50. I get into all of it because I really like the gymnasts for Summer Olympics. What else do I like? I love the track and field for Summer Olympics. I do get into the volleyball, And I don't get into so much of the biking, oddly enough, even though I do love bike stuff. But this one's interesting because we've never had an Olympics like back to back like this. But this one also is in China. And I think China has been partially on a lockdown, sort of like when Omicron started sneaking back out or sneaking around. So I'm curious if this is going to be, because there was no one in the stadiums at the last Olympics, the 2020 Olympics, which of course was held in 2021. There's nobody in the stadiums. They were doing what all sports was doing at first, which is just piping in the sounds. I don't know. God, I don't know if the Olympics was piping in the audience sounds, actually, because the Olympics, so often, so many things are happening in one arena. Like it's really odd. You'll hear people applauding like halfway through somebody's routine because somebody just set a world record in track behind them or something. So I don't remember them actually pumping in the sound, but they did some pretty deep. They multicolored the seats. They just like made it look, sort of like Indian corn, where it's just like every kernel was different. It was pretty effective, I thought. It looked correct. It didn't look like an empty stadium, and it was a lot of money, but I thought it was a smart way to do it. But then that got me thinking, God, the Super Bowl's next month. Chris, you're following football way more than I am this season. Are they talking about going full capacity? Seems like they are.
Oh, I think they've been doing that for a while now. Yeah. Even
but the Super Bowl. See, there was a little window where I think it felt like they were going to ride out the rest of the football. I thought that they were going to ride out the rest of the season, and then when playoffs started, they were going to go back to either nobody in the stadiums or lesser. I thought it would be lesser. I don't think we're going back into full-on shutdown, but then I watched a hockey game the other night, and they straight up went back to nobody in the stands.
Oh, really?
And it was a shock. I was like, when the fuck did that happen?
No.
So it was when Ami was blowing back up.
I wish we could just dial up Brandon. We should just do that. See if he's on. He's probably podcasting. We'll just interrupt him. He won't mind.
Dial a Brandon button. Wouldn't it be nice if we could like interrupt their podcast with our podcast?
I know you think you're doing something special right now, Brandon, but we need to ask this burning question. And Google simply won't suffice.
Mm-hmm. Who could be bothered? I got a cigar in one hand, a beer in the other. I can't Google. I was just curious. It'll be interesting to see how it all goes down this year. They're both coming right up next month.
That's nuts.
All right.
Well, last week we talked about an axe-wielding maniac who destroyed an entire arcade and also kept the poor employees and some of the customers of the place prisoner and terrified for a good while.
He was cartel, by the way.
Cartel. Was he?
I don't know.
I think he was just a maniac. Story. But they did catch the guy, it seems like. But
isn't his name Wolf or Coyote? Or am I confusing? Wait, didn't you know somebody named Coyote?
Coyote was my story.
Coyote, yeah.
Someone was just asking me about Coyote. Apparently, a lot more people know about him now. I've told you this before, that I live a life that is such that when I tell stories of my life, a lot of people, I can just tell, a lot of people just straight up think I'm lying to them. Like I'm just making shit up. Because that was a pretty kooky story. To sum up, and this goes way back, this dude named Coyote approached me because he liked the cut of my jib. I shit you not, put me in a car, blindfolded me, and drove me to his underground palace containing the world's greatest record collection. That was a real thing that happened to me. I understand why that sounds crazy, but now I've talked to a lot of people who actually know who that dude is. They're still kind of surprised about the blindfold scenario. So Kyle might have just been having a good time with me, but he ended up not liking the cut of my jib because he never called me back. But there is that underground record club of rich people, and he's the dude that goes digging through the yard sale bins and, finding new people to join. I think maybe he had a disproportionate understanding of my record collection and collecting. Like I've got a huge record collection, but I think most like connoisseurs most audiophiles would consider my record collection to be mostly junk. They'd probably find like an apple crate's worth of stuff to take away if I was giving it away. That's what my gut tells me. But
beauty is in the ear of the beholder.
And so a lot of people have told me that, you know, I got to be, I don't know if they really thought I was lying, but it's like, holy shit, I met the dude. I met Coyote from that story that I heard in your podcast from 8 fucking years ago. It is somewhat validating. But yeah, this guy's name was Wolf. And after all of that got settled, I think it was just like the next day or a couple days later. It was definitely in the same week. This just happened. And I'm going to read. The shitty week wasn't quite over. This is coming right off of Reuters.com. And it says, Reuters, not Reuters. I don't know how to say this. I think it's Reuters. It says, Sea Cave Arcade has experienced one of the worst months in its history. Maybe it was more than a couple weeks ago. The recreational establishment in New Orleans, Louisiana, was linked to a new accident. Last night, and this was January 12th, this fucking poor place, a van full of teenagers being chased by the New Orleans police ended up crashing into the building.
Ow.
Judah Lee, one of the owners of Sea Cave Arcade, reports that the driver jumped out of the moving vehicle and left his crew to their fate. What sweet homie you got there, first of all. Although if you're in a van that's running from the cops, let's be honest, you've made a series of bad choices. But after the impact, some began to flee. The bad news is that the accident left some people in the car injured, apart from an employee who was outside the establishment and who, according to the report, received the worst part, since he was hit by the car and pushed through the wall.
Oh, my God. Brutal.
Now, there's a story. You know, we're being led blindfolded to a warehouse of records by a guy named Coyote. That's a story. Being pushed into an arcade wall by a van fleeing police. That's a better story. That's a better story. Although I would rather go through the former. Goes on to say, the subject, whom Lee refers to as Goat, what is with all these animal terms, is a new employee of the business and a very good friend of the manager's. Goat sustained many. This is like bizarro fiction right here. Goat sustained many internal and orthopedic injuries. I can fucking imagine. You don't go through a wall.
Pushed through a wall. Yeah, who saw that coming?
It's gonna happen. He didn't. Apparently. Although maybe he did and he ducked instead of went right or left. You got to split
those mixed up.
Damn you, Mario. Moments after the accident, the wounded man was transferred to the University Medical Center where he had already had an operation. So blah, 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 blah. Yeah, he was in rough shape. But he's still in intensive care, so he's fucked. Now, the GoFundMe I mentioned last week, there was a GoFundMe to raise money. At this point, that was to raise money for the wolf. Let's see if I can keep my animals straight here. This is the world's stupidest fairy tale. The wolf wanted in, and so he huffed and puffed, and then he smashed every fucking window or monitor of the arcades. And so that was what the GoFundMe was for. But now Goat went through...
Oh, Goat.
Goat went through the wall, and so that got the stories circulating again. So I checked this GoFundMe. I was like, this has to be doing well with all the coverage. Right now, it's sitting at a little over 36,000. I would have guessed it'd be higher than that with all this coverage. But their goal is 50,000. So we shall see. The story is still making a circulation, and the month is still young, so there's plenty of bad luck January left for the poor fucking Sea Cave. Cancel all birthday parties, cancel all appearances at Sea Cave Arcade, folks. It's bad news, and they need to be kissing every fucking rabbit's foot they can get their lips near. I hope that this isn't interfering with... This seems like something that might end up on a news quiz, so I'll just ask you before I get going. Is there a Weird Al question in your news quiz?
Oh, I almost wrote that.
That's so funny.
I saved it for later. That's okay. You're free to do as you will.
It felt like something you might ask, but there is, in fact, a Weird Al biopic in the works. And I'm guessing your question would be who's going to play him.
Correct.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Because that's my question. That was the question I was going to ask you. So you obviously know. John Mark, did you see the story? Lyle, you see the story?
I haven't, but I'm going to say Ernest P. Well.
Ernest
Remember that guy?
P. Well, you mean Ernest? Like Ernest Goes to Camp?
Yes.
Well, if he hadn't died in the 90s, he might be. And he wasn't actually older than Weird Al.
Damn it.
That would be a Weird Al thing to do, though.
Yeah.
Just get someone older than him to play 19-year-old him. John Mark, do you have a
are
guess?
Are we still talking about, what are we talking about? CK still? What's
Weird
happening?
Al is there's a biopic being made about Weird Al. You saw who's going to play him then?
I did.
Okay, well, Lyle's the only one that has one more legitimate guess. You want to take one last guess?
That kid that played in that the Facebook movie. He's got that hair. Sure.
Oh, no, that's not a bad guess, but it's Daniel Radcliffe.
I don't know who that is.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter?
Yeah, and I think that's a pretty good fit.
I don't see it. He doesn't get the face for it.
Oh, I think if you put, it's all about the hair, of course.
It's more of the elongated face.
Those glasses. I think
He'll be fine.
I think he's going to be exactly Weird Al when he gets into that wig and those glasses and that weird little pencil thin goatee or mustache.
If he can be in a whole movie as a corpse, I'm sure he can play Weird Al.
Which was great,
oh
right?
My God.
Come
that
on.
was our first little podcast movie night. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
Fucking that movie is nuts.
It's so
a
good,
Hollywood
though.
movie, right? Or was it?
Yeah.
It seemed like it had fucking crazy. More fart jokes, like dead fart jokes and weird pussy jokes. It was a weird, dirty little movie.
What are you talking about?
Huh?
I'm like, we never watched Harry Potter. I'm like, what are you talking about? Okay,
I think Daniel Radcliffe has one of the coolest acting careers. Like, where couldn't he go at this point? He so wisely went in such a bizarre direction immediately after Harry Potter, and he did that stage production where he was nude. You know, he was just like, I am shutting down the typecast, and I can go wherever I want. It was so smart.
I hate to make this comparison, but I think it's apt. No, I think Daniel Radcliffe is like, what he's doing with his career is like kind of what Johnny Depp did, but not shitty. You know what I mean? Like, he's,
Johnny Depp didn't get shitty for a long time. He got shitty when he stopped doing that. Actually, it was when he started cashing in on Hollywood shit. That's when he got shitty.
Yeah, so
I think that's a great comparison.
Compare him to Johnny Depp, because I think Johnny Depp's kind of shitty now. But as far as career-wise, trajectory-wise, like project-wise, I think
give it time. Daniel Radcliffe might get shitty too.
You never know.
Well, he could, aren't we? Well, that's a great. I think that's a great comparison because Johnny Depp was the pretty boy coming off of 21 Jump Street. I feel like he must have been in 21 Jump Street or just barely out of it when he was in Crybaby, a John Waters movie, and you can't go much more schizo and be in a quote unquote. It's not a Hollywood movie per se. It is and it isn't. But
wasn't Nightmare on Elm Street before 21 Jump Street? It was, wasn't it?
I think that was his first acting role. It was Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah.
Crazy.
But then he did some crazy little indie movies like Dead Man, which is an amazing and still to this day underrated and underseen movie. It's fucking bananas. And I don't know a lot about the making of that movie now that I think about it, even though I've seen it several times. Really interesting and sparse, eerie soundtrack by Neil Young, too. There was a very limited edition of that on vinyl that I tried to get my paws on back in the earlier days of eBay, but it was way too expensive. But yeah, then he did kooky things with Tim Burton, and Tim Burton, before he got shitty, was super interesting and kooky. So that was the pairing of the century. But anyway, so reading from crack.com, just to wrap up this, it says the Weird Al biopic will be a joint production from Funny or Die and Tango, and principal photography on the film is slated to begin in LA next month. It will ultimately be released for free on Roku, bringing it full circle. Though no formal premiere date has been set thus far, Yankovic says fans can expect the film to hit the small screen sometime later this year. And all the articles and all the little things I saw about it said it's going to be very frank and no holding back. So, which may sound silly in a biopic about somebody like Weird Al, but he's had a pretty controversial and interesting career because, you know, there's some legal aspects. You know, he's been part of some of the parody law challenges over the years, some court hearings, some artists that straight up threatened him, Coolio, in one way or another.
Coolio did? Damn.
Yeah, he did not want him to do Amish Paradise, which is funny because Coolio based Gangsta Paradise off of a Stevie Wonder song, which I can't remember the name of the Stevie Wonder song, something Paradise. Anyway, yeah, and then I think it's a fascinating career, and I think it would be, if it's told well. You know, we've just talked about this. Everyone's getting a biopic now, and I think it's kind of cool because I like the idea of biopics, but you can't do them all in that weird, like the Motley Crue one and the Queen one, and there's something about the vibe of those that feel like, you remember the early days before HBO got really good at making their shit, and the early days where HBO would make like a little movie. It just felt like it was
off, a
good try, but they just didn't have the,
not quite there.
Yeah, just didn't have the poop behind it that Hollywood feature. But these are Hollywood productions, and they just, I don't know, the tone is weird.
Yeah,
I don't think they're getting the right directors or something.
It's like it feels kind of goofy.
Yeah, oddball. And it kind of worked for the Motley Crue one, but it was like that movie could have been so much fucking better.
Like, are you talking about the Netflix movie?
It could add like an Almost Famous vibe. The Motley Crue, the biopic one. I don't remember what the name of it is.
Yeah, the ones that was I liked it, but I see what you're saying. It could have been cooler, like more serious. Almost.
I enjoyed it, but it could have been. I think it could have been a little, just a little less. I don't know. It had this weird like 80s sex comedy tone to it almost.
What like would you prefer to see in something like that? Even say the Motley Crue thing. What if it was, instead of just fucking nobody actors, what if it was the real people? What if you had Vince Neil? You had E6.
That could have worked 20 years ago, maybe, but not.
Well, I'm not saying that make them young again. I'm saying more of a documentary format. You know, where they're
just having them like talking
stories.
And I want them de-aged digitally.
They have the wannabe looking actors.
That's fine. I mean, it's fine to have We have
most of those exist.
We have the book and stuff,
and a lot of these end up being based on those.
People want to see like sort of recreations, but like he was saying, the tone is kind of off. It's just like off kilter to what you feel like it should be.
You know what I think, the Weird Al, the tone of the Weird Al doc, or the tone of the Weird Al biopic, I think should be like the tone of Private Parts. And I think Private Parts is a good example where it got a biopic that was set in this kooky, crazy, sex-crazed, oddball world, but there was a good, that you weren't shocked and you weren't thrown off. Like in the Motley Crue movie, there was some heavy fucking shit, you know, when the dude Raz from Hanoi Rocks is, you know, Vince Neil's driving drunk, and it's a very well-known case that he just got away with, you know, vehicular homicide because he killed him. His passenger was Raz, and he was shit-faced, and it caused the accident, and he died. It went into that scene and came out of it so quickly, and it had set up that oddball thing. Same with when Vince Neil's daughter was dying from cancer. You know, that was a heavy scene, but it was like, it just didn't work as well. In Private Parts, on the other hand, really, when it got into like, you know, he was going through some tough times, it was like, it was genuinely when he was barfing in the toilet because he had to fire somebody. It's like, I don't know. That's how you do a movie like that. And it's hard to put on paper. That's just the difference between a great director. Because I think a lot of this really does come down to the director. The directing and the editing is how you get the tone. You know, you can make the world's finest actor or actress look fucking ridiculous with bad directing and bad editing. To some degree, vice versa. But anywho, we'll see how that goes. I think it's a cool concept, a Weird Al biopic, and one I don't think any of us were necessarily expecting or even wanting. But now that I know that it's coming, sure, I'll watch it.
A little.
The Daniel Radcliffe part really intrigues me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna flow, and I'm very curious.
Dare to be stupid.
I think this is like the same thing as people saying Heath Ledger he can't play the fucking Joker. Are you kidding me?
Fair. Yeah. Speaking of the Batman
true, and they're
world,
both great actors.
I'm kind of on the fence about this new Batman flick. Have you guys seen the trailer for this?
No. I'm so lost with anything comic book these days.
It's the Robert Pattinson Batman.
Oh, okay.
I did get to see the Foo Fighter trailer, and
you finally watched that?
Epic. That was awesome.
I
can't wait.
I hope there's some way that we can all watch that together. If not in person, it has to be virtually, because that'll be a good time.
I agree.
So Robert Pattinson. So has he been doing shit since?
Yes, and it's been good. Like the Lighthouse was amazing. The dude has chops. The dude has acting chops. But like the trailers I've seen from this, I just don't know how I feel about it. I'm not excited about it. But I wasn't excited about the Joker. But I thought that was a brilliant flick that I'll never watch again.
Well, you want to talk about tone? The Batman franchise is a perfect example of how different the experience can be from movie to movie. Michael Keaton turned down. He had first dibs on whatever that third Batman movie was going to be. I don't know if that was
not dark enough or whatever.
He said this is stupid. No. He said it was goofy.
Yeah.
And so it was, I feel like it was Val Kilmer next, but maybe it was George Clooney.
Can't remember now.
George Clooney was Batman and Robin, I think, right?
Which was the one with Mr. Freeze? That was the third one, right?
I don't know. See, that's the point. Is like we know which one the first one was. Like, and I think most of us know which one the second one was. After that, they just got so loosey-goosey with it, and it lost the thing. And that was exactly Michael Keaton's point. So Batman has been in a weird. I go all the way back to Tim Burton's Batman, skipping ahead through the what was the director? Was it Nolan Ryan? Not Nolan Ryan. That's
Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan. Nolan Ryan's a baseball player. I was just watching a baseball documentary.
Nolan Bushnell? What?
Yeah. So think about how much that has changed in tone. Now I don't know anything about this new one. Does it look like they're trying to get dark again?
Yeah, it looks dark, but it also, I think there's supposed to be more of a detective element, because he's like supposed to be the world's greatest detective, or what's the catchphrase? Something to that effect.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's Detective Comics.
He's not a superhero, technically.
He's supposed to be detective, yeah.
So I think they're pulling more of that in, but it looks violent. I don't mind that, obviously, but I don't know. I can't get what's coming in this that we haven't got 20 times already. I need to see the difference.
Oh, well, the answer to that will probably be nothing. But that won't stop Hollywood,
That's fair. But
what have we gotten in any of the fucking comic book movies, especially in the last decade, that we hadn't already seen?
DC's always a bit iffy.
Do you think that so you I believe, Christopher, I don't even know what movies there all are in the Marvel universe, but would you say that you have seen most, if not all?
Yeah, I think I just saw the Eternals finally, and it was fucking great.
Other than seeing them wrap up a story arc, is there really anything in those movies that the later ones gave you that you hadn't already seen?
I know they're all kind of a similar package, right?
I guess to be fair, that's true of anything, though, right? I mean,
if you guys want to see something comic book related that is not like anything else you've seen, fucking watch Legion.
Zip.
For fuck's sake,
I started
Legion.
watching it, and it was okay. It started strong and started to fucking waver, and it lost me at some point.
Roll up one of your little special ciggies and just fucking keep going.
Just
and go
one
with the flow, dude.
Yeah. What is it? A Tuesday?
I'm telling you, it's
Special
the best
ciggies.
fucking thing ever.
Okay. Well,
yeah. I go cross-eyed, and I'm a comic book kid, man. I just go cross-eyed when. I remember talk about the Ben Affleck Batman. Did that ever even happen? Was there a movie with Ben Affleck?
I love Batfleck.
It did.
Oh my God, Ron!
It did happen.
You out of I got to get you out of 2008.
That's fair, but you're not going to pull me out to watch
To be fair,
Batman.
I haven't seen it either.
God damn it. First off, I'm putting it out on Front Street. I love Batfleck. I thought he was a great Batman. I really enjoyed his Batman and his Bruce Wayne.
Was that in his own
standalone? It was like the
standalone?
worst experience of his life, and he's never going to do it again.
It was. He said, I think working with Joss Whedon was not good.
Was that what it was?
Justice League was a real problem. I loved Batman versus Superman, and everyone fucking hates that movie. And normally I don't. I usually am pretty par with the course, but I really enjoyed that flick. I've watched it like 8 times, probably.
8 times.
Huh.
So
I might have to check it out.
Who's
I liked it.
Who's directing the Robert Pattinson Batman?
Fuck. You know what? Why don't you pull it? Here, I'm gonna send you a trailer. You can play it while I pull up that information. Or can you just pull up that and I'll read you the information? You want to do this?
What's the name of the movie?
Called The Batman.
The Batman trailer. Now playing Batman 2. Okay, the Bat and the Cat? This is exactly what I knew would happen even before I made the fucking joke.
Well done.
It says the Batman, but it says the Bat and the Cat. So this must feature Catwoman.
It does have Catwoman in it.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, okay, main trailer.
Okay.
Here we go. I'm just gonna play a little bit. We'll get a tone.
This is the director of Cloverfield, Let Me In, War of the New Planet of the Apes movies. So he's got some cred.
Huh. I think this has kind of become a Hollywood Gets Probed episode. Haven't done one of those in a while. Okay, there's a question mark in a latte cup. I'm guessing the Riddler is involved.
Fear is a tool. When that light hits the sky,
It really is. There's the bat signal, and there's Batman brooding in the shadows. Uh-huh.
it's a warning.
It looks like every other Batman movie so far. I'm so skeptical about this shit, I guess. Did they give him a butt chin? Or did he already have a bit of a butt chin?
Oh, he's got a chin. Pattinson's got a chin, baby.
Bruce might be still really calm.
Who's Catwoman?
It's Zoe Kravitz. So Lenny Kravitz's daughter.
No shit.
Uh-huh.
God, we're old.
Yep.
That's Lenny Kravitz's daughter. I'm assuming that's the
believe so.
Penguin. See, this is the thing, though. It looks fine. Like, if there hadn't been 20 other Batman movies since the last Batman movie, I might... I see what you're saying, Chris. There's absolutely nothing in this that looks like something we haven't seen a dozen times plus from the Batman world.
And if I'm going to get back into this, I need something that's different or like better. Just like every time we see this, it has to be better than the last time. Otherwise, what's the point?
Well, what the fuck is going on with Spider-Man? I'm so confused with what Spider-Man, because now they're pulling up like Willem Dafoe again.
Dude, I went and saw that movie. It was fucking fantastic. It was so good. And I mean, it's a top 10 grossing movie of all time now.
I think it's like the fifth grossing movie of all time now in box office.
But it killed it. It might have been one of the best Marvel movies ever, and they're saying it might get like an Oscar nod.
What's the premise? Is there time travel? Okay. Why are there some old villains and new?
Okay, I'm gonna give light spoilers for anyone. But if you haven't seen this movie and you care, I mean, it's fucking weeks after it's been open. But I mean, do you know Doctor Strange? Did you see that one?
Yeah.
I'm guessing. Oh, you did. I mean, did you see the movie?
Oh, I didn't see the movie, but I know see, I'm a comic book nerd, so I know all these things and all the characters. But no, I didn't see that. So that was with Cumberbumber.
Yeah, he's in it. So he's in this movie too. Cumberbutt.
Didn't mean to botch it.
It's so good.
You know how many fucking times you guys say? How do you guys do this? Like Christopher, you especially, you're a dad. Yeah. And you have a part-time or a full-time job, a very full-time job, and you work holidays, you work every fucking event. How have you seen Superman versus Batman 8 times?
I took a day off from work to go see it. I'm not kidding, because it's so hard to get to the movies, and I was so excited for this one particularly. But let me tell you what happened.
I guess the answer is you make an effort. I don't.
Yeah. So how you're seeing all the people from the other Spider-Verses is, they've already confirmed that there's like this multiverse out there. We know it's out there. They've talked about it. They've dabbled in it a little bit. Like, so the idea that there's other universes out there similar to our own, but not quite the same, you know?
So there is kind of time travel.
So, yeah. And so what that did was that opened a really interesting door for Marvel. And what they did was at the end of the last Spider-Man movie, Peter Parker's identity is revealed to the world. And that's the last part of the movie. So he no longer has a secret identity. Everyone knows who he is. So the start of this movie is him adjusting to that life, and like paparazzi being around him, and he's walking to high school with his girlfriend MJ and holding hands, and people are taking photos. And so he goes to Doctor Strange and says, "Can you make people forget that I'm Spider-Man?" Doctor Strange is like, "Cool, let me do the spell." He starts whipping the spell together, and he goes, "Oh, but not my girlfriend." And he's like, "Don't interrupt the spell." And he's like, "Oh, and not my Aunt May." And he starts fucking his spell up, and at the end of it, he accidentally opens up the multiverse, but you don't quite know that. And so all of a sudden, these other villains from Spider-Man start popping up, and they're attacking Spider-Man, and rips his mask off, and it's like, "You're not my Spider-Man." And the other Spider-Mans are in the city too. It's just fucking awesome, and the way they do it is so good.
So does Tobey Maguire make an appeirance? Is that a big? Is that spoiler? Is all this spoilery?
No, if you don't know this by now, it was spoiled weeks before it came. Everyone knew it was happening. Okay. So Andrew Garfield's in it from the others. Andrew Garfield's in it, the other Spider-Man that they did 2 movies with, and they tie all this shit together and give like redeeming, like story ending arcs to both of their shit, and it works. It's charming. It's wonderful. I really enjoyed that flick.
That's kind of what they did on a much more focused and minimalistic level. What they did with Star Trek, where how can we have Spock be with Spock? You know what I mean? It's like they did a little parallel universe, Tom Snaffrey. Well, it's funny because I always make that joke. It's like, who knows where any of this fits into anything. I suppose this is your decoder ring, huh? At least looking backward, maybe, for tying it all together. I mean, in other words, do you need to have watched? This is always, I suppose, my biggest hesitation for even getting into it. I feel like, and I know we've tried to narrow this down at one point, I feel like the last thing that I saw was like Guardians. So what's the Thor and
Ragnarok?
Oh no, it was way before that. What was I saw the Thor movie. What was the one? What's the one with they're all together? With like
Avengers.
The Avengers. I saw the first Avengers movie. I believe that's the last Marvel Universe movie I saw.
I think it's the last one.
And that's unfortunate because they really found I feel like they hit a stride after that.
Well, what I'm saying is, do you need to see them all? First of all,
no. Nah.
Do you need to see them all to really enjoy this?
No, you don't. It's more like, did you watch the Tobey Maguire ones?
Yeah, I saw all those.
Sam Raimi.
You feel like there's a bit more nostalgia for that stuff there, and because I didn't see the Andrew Garfield movies at all, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter at all. Like, I didn't feel like I missed that. They kind of like cue you into the important parts, and it's fucking great. They all start like comparing, like, for instance, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man can shoot webs out of his actual body, and the other two had to make gadgets, and they find that fucking incredible. They're like, "How do you do?" And he's like, "I don't want to go into it."
I'm the OG. Interesting. Well, I don't hate it. I'm like I said, I mean, well, understandably at this point, cross-eyed when I look at it all. It's just like,
sure.
So when I hear that there's a new Batman movie, I don't give 2 fucking shits, no matter what they say. But I did see the Joker, so that was because but I saw the Joker because I could tell, and I knew just by the look of it that it was going to be something. Sorry, John Mark. John Mark's actually clock is working overtime tonight. Yes, but to be fair, it is Joker. It's Joker. I saw Joker, but I saw it because I knew that it was going to be, first of all, I knew that it had the vibe of being a standalone thing. I also knew it was going to be something, at least to some degree, that we hadn't seen. And it was something that we hadn't really seen. Not in tone necessarily. And we've certainly seen violent comic book movies. But there was something about it. It just felt like Midnight Cowboy or some shit with that. And that leads to it was so much more rooted in reality. Like, this is just how a sociopath is born, more than anything. And I found that interesting, and it was fascinating and somewhat nauseating. That movie to me, like the whole experience was not enjoyable. It was kind of like watching like The Devil's Rejects. I mean, it wasn't that brutal, but it just gave me a bad feeling, which I didn't dislike. Oddly enough, sometimes I can sit through 2 hours.
I think how they did like Into the Spider-Verse, the animated thing that everybody's like loves so much. Like, it was a great movie,
so great.
But so that's kind of like the thing where I think with like Batman, what I was thinking of was like to do something a little bit different. Like, they need to do like something like, I mean, Ron, you probably have, but I don't know if Chris and Lyle, if you've read the Frank Miller, The Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
No, is it good?
Oh, fuck. It's so good.
That's he's known for those 2 books, basically.
That sort of started the whole like real like gritty sort of Batman. The kind of like influence, I think, in tone, like the Christopher Nolan films.
So I was kind of just ask because it sounds. I mean, like he took the title right from it. So
100%.
But it's like I feel like they should do sort of like an adaptation of that with like what in my mind I was thinking of like Sin City style, where it's like kind of rotoscoped and animated over live action, kind of like do something different with the visuals. Make it a comic book that came to life, but not totally animated, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, do something.
DC needs to do something to revitalize their shit because I don't trust them. Like, I don't trust anything they do to be good.
DC had a really good animated line for a while, and they did, they had I liked the Green Lantern one. I loved the Wonder Woman one. I used to buy those on DVD, and they always had a trailer for the one that was coming next. And there's one I never got my hands on, but it always looked amazing, and that was the story of the Spectre. Or maybe it wasn't even a real trailer. Maybe it was just like some bonus mini feature, but it seemed like it was a trailer for a movie on the Spectre. And I always loved that character, but it was all set in like the 70s, and it was all grainy, way before that shit got super trendy. Well, maybe not way before, but it was before it was done to death. But they had some great shit on all the Superman movies and everything. I was into all of it because it was just, they were good stories and it was consistent. So it was easier for me to follow all the side stories than it is for me. I mean, this Marvel shit just so got away from me. Go ahead, Lon.
Well, I was going to say with John Mark's mentioning of that movie, it's the same as like Sucker Punch. It wasn't a great movie, but the way it was produced,
Sucker Punch was terrible.
I thought it was terrible.
The way it was produced visually,
it was pretty.
Watch that movie on mute and put music on.
And touch yourself.
Well, I'm talking about Sin City. You know how they're.
Well, Sin City to me still is one of the coolest. See, that's kind of what John Mark is saying. I think is like when's the last time we saw something that super fucking ballsy and interesting and neat in anywhere near a Hollywood movie? Was what Robert Rodriguez did with Sin City. He full on made the Frank Miller's book come to life, but better, because you could have just animated it and that would have been neat, but the way that they did it live, and this was like not the earliest days, but earlier days of chroma keying and green screening all that shit out. That must have been a fucking nightmare to figure all that stuff out. Now it's like there's probably a Sin City filter in After Effects that you can download. But these people were, like all this shit, they're pioneers in figuring it out. And that movie was so fucking captivating because of the way that they played with being in the limitations of a black and white, highly contrast comic book. And they had to maintain that look to the whole thing, but still be, captivating movie.
But it works
really good,
really well.
Yeah,
like the scene when they're on the balcony with the assassin and the red lipstick.
Josh
Hartnett.
Yeah,
that shit pulled you in, man.
Yeah, it's film noir, and that's what Frank Miller was doing when he was making those books. He was actually kind of in a much darker and much more violent world. He was bringing back the film noir that existed when those earlier comic books, especially Batman, were invented. They were. If Batman was a movie before, it got like all shucky darn with the stuff that Adam West would do, and I'd love that shit too, but for all different reasons, of course. But if it was a movie and they had some budgets behind it, it would have been like Batman in a fucking office with a typewriter. The moment this dame walked into my office, I knew she has trouble, Shay. That was the world it was set in. It was just crime fighting. But he had a cape and he swung on. He wasn't a superhero. He just swung. He swung from shit and he threw things at people. It was just like the most archaic thing. And Superman was flying on some bullshit magic, and Batman was just looking cool as fuck in his jet. He's like, yeah, you can fly on your own and that's neat, but it looks dumb. I'm going to be over here in my kick-ass pussy mobile in space here, flying across the fucking skies. Batman was just always cool. Yeah. Well, not always. Once they gave him tits.
Nipples specifically is the real problem.
Batman's tits. That's a good band name right there. That's something like some side project that Maynard from Tool would do.
Ron, what it's called is Batman's Hairy Nipples.
Batman's Hairy Nipples. I saw them open for Rob Zombie back in 2000.
It's a hell of a show. Yeah.
He burned with he dug the ditch. Okay. Anyway. Joking. Speaking of Rob Zombie, and we're sticking with the Hollywood train here. New Addams Family movie is official, or Munsters movie is officially underway, and now we're starting to get some shots from the actual set.
Oh, what do they look like? Are they good?
I think they look pretty good. Yeah, they're staying pretty faithful. Of course, Rob just can't help himself. So one guess as to who's playing Lily.
His wife. His wife.
Yeah. God bless him. He and Tim Burton, he just can't help himself. He's always got to put his gal in. I don't know. For me, I think it works for the most part, like the characters that they play. But this is a big character. Usually, what's her name?
Moon something. Cheryl.
Sherry Moon Zombie. Most of those characters are just kooky or smaller characters, but this is Lily Munster. So it'll be really interesting to see how that comes. I'm not implying that. Well, yeah, I guess I am implying. I'm full on saying that it's sort of a nepotistic. I'm going to put my girlfriend or wife in everything I do. But does she have the chops?
Do we know if is this going to be an R-rated movie? Is this like what's going on here? Is he just doing like a big screen adaptation of the Munsters, or is he doing like a Rob Zombie version of the Munsters?
That is a great question. Let me look that up. Rob Zombie Munsters rating.
Edit this, Ron. Make us sound prepared.
No, people love this shit. They love it when it's like, whatever. Conversations. I had so much.
Keeping it real.
I had a full show ready to go, and we ain't getting to any of it, and that's fine. It's all pretty much evergreen. No. Okay, well, here, I'm going to just read this. So Screen Rant, this came out almost a year ago. Oh, no, this is only a few months old. So everyone's asking, will Rob Zombie's The Munsters be R-rated? The Munsters is getting a reboot from Rob Zombie, but will this film, the original, blah, 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 blah. We don't need any of that shit. Zombie's career, oh, come on, skip to the burying the lead. We have a hard time in the age of content being, we're not ones to talk. We have a hard time getting to the point. Didn't we have a piece of feedback on our iTunes? Someone was complaining that it took 40 minutes to get to the main topic. You can't even argue with it. It's like, yeah, that's kind of what we do. And the main topic was probably like 12 minutes, and we spent like 40 minutes talking about one singular other thing. I don't do that anymore. It's just like the show is the show. I don't put a topic really anymore. It's just I just list some of the things that we talk about. Okay, well, I'm not seeing any answers here. They're really just hypothesizing that it will likely be given a PG-13. Have you guys seen, I'm sure we talked about this before, but have you guys seen the Dark Shadows movie, Tim Burton's Dark Shadows movie?
No, was it good?
That might be the last great Tim Burton Johnny Depp movie. It's fucking great, but it's
I need
great.
to watch it again because I don't remember being that impressed with it when I first watched it.
It's great if you. Well, I do think. Well, I don't. Sarah watched it and she loved it. And I don't think she. I would be surprised if she'd seen any of the original Dark Shadows. I feel like you get more out of it if you knew the original Dark Shadows, but the tone of it is just, it's pretty, it's hilarious. Like it's a comedy and it's got some super groovy, like 70s decor and vibe to it. I haven't seen it in a while either, but I remember being surprised and loving it. I was just curious if you guys saw it, but it looks like he's going to be steering, they're hypothesizing, so I don't know if he's come out and said whether or not it's going to be. I don't know how you make the Munsters an R-rated movie without just being like, oh, look what I can do just because I can do it. You know what I mean? Like there's tons of shit that I've seen that was made into more of an adult thing, which made sense, but the Munsters is like Gilligan's Island. It's like, what are you going to have them fuck? It's like, that'd be funny for 3 minutes. It's like, what are we going to do with the rest of the movie?
Have it be like super gory for laughs kind of deal.
Yeah, like, it just wouldn't. It's like, who cares? That's silly at this point. Just make a good Munsters movie that you can take the whole family to. I can't believe those words are even coming out of my mouth. I'm usually sick to death of family-friendly shit, but at the same time, sometimes it is the more challenging thing to just make a good. I don't know. Something about me. In my love for the Munsters, I don't want to see a Munsters movie that isn't like Munsters-y.
Perfect.
And he's such a huge fan, but he was a huge fan of Halloween, and he didn't make that terribly Halloween-y, if you ask me.
I like Halloween. I mean, it wasn't.
I'm not saying they're bad, but it didn't give me the same. It just didn't feel like the Halloween movies. Oh well, it was weird.
I understand what you're saying.
Strange to me. Anywho, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with it. Rob Zombie is such an interesting guy. I've never been a big fan of any of his music, but some of his movies I really dig. Nothing so much as The Devil's Rejects. I think that's so far the cream of the crop for him.
Not too long ago, watched back-to-back of his movies.
Yeah. House of a Thousand Corpses is a fun movie, but it's so fucking schizoid. That going from that to Devil's Rejects was like, like we were talking about earlier, it was the tone. It was almost like going from the Motley Crue movie to Private Parts, where it's similar themes, but this one just feels way more legit. This one feels way more like consistent. And holy shit, of all the movies I've ever seen, I think Zombie has even commented that so many people tell him this exact thing. Like, you just feel dirty after you watch it. You just feel like washing it off, like taking a shower, and you can't do it. You can't scrub it off. There's a couple scenes. I met Lou Temple. I guess a little bit of a spoiler.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Lou Temple is a very small character in there. He
in The Walking Dead too.
He gets his face cut off. Yeah, he was. God, what was his character in Walking Dead? He was that prison.
The prison. Yeah, and they
what
get
were
him.
Those two names?
I can't remember, but he was a great character for like a whole season or two, maybe.
Yeah, they were buddies. God, it's funny. I'm spacing.
But I knew him from. Even though I'd seen House of a Thousand Corpses, I was like, oh, it's the Walking Dead guy whose name I can't remember.
Yeah, in Devil's Rejects, he gets his face cut off. And when I met him at Crypticon, he's like, I give good face, don't I? He was awesome. He was one of my favorite celebrities, if you want to call him that. He's not really a celebrity. A lot of people don't know him, but he's been in a lot of great movies. But that whole scene with the band in the motel, it's just brutal. That movie is brutal. And, a lot of horror movies live up to the old cliche that you really only get super brutal with the people that deserve it. The Devil's Rejects was mercilessly cruel. Like, why are you doing? In fact, one of the people that is being murdered is literally asking why, like, why are you doing this to me? And Otis is looking down at him, and he pulls his greasy hair back with the sun behind him. It's a beautiful shot. And he's like, because I'm the devil and I'm here to do the devil's work. And he just crushes his fucking skull in with the brick. Whew, brutal.
That wasn't really all that bad compared to the one movie that got me after all these years was Hostel. The first time I seen Hostel.
Yeah,
man,
those are rough.
I wanted to throw up in my mouth.
Torture porns.
Just gross.
I think it was the second. Was it the second one that they're just straight up eating a dude?
They're both.
Like they said. For those of you who don't know, if you like horror movies and you haven't seen Hostel, you're nuts, because they're fun and kind of over the top, but not fun. They're popcorny in a weird way. But the premise just is this place where rich people pay lots of money to murder kidnapped people of all walks of life, usually young, pretty people, and they just get to torture them and kill them however they want. That's sort of the underground club. But there's one guy that his thing is he's a cannibal, but he likes to eat people alive. So they drug this guy and they strap him to a table. And when he wakes up, he hears like some very elegant classical music playing on the hi-fi, sees candlelights and wine being poured, and this fancy gentleman sits down and grabs a knife and a fork, and he slowly starts cutting into his thigh and eating him. He just
puts it on a plate.
He's reacting accordingly. Ooh, it's good stuff, but terrible stuff. Anywho, holy snikes, where are we even at time-wise?
What are we even doing?
Well,
you want to save your main for?
We're at $1:15. So yeah, let me make sure there's nothing super timely in anything that I had. No, not at all. This was just some random shit that I found to talk about. So yeah, why don't we get on to some strange triv? I think we've consolidated it, right? It's strange triv.
I think strange triv is good for now until we decide to change or forget. Can you make me a proper jingle, Ron? Come on.
I was just doing it. Strange triv. There.
Yeah, make it sound kind of like a. No, come on.
All right. Well,
make it sound good, Ron.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll pay you. I'll hire you to do this.
Well, listen,
I won't pay much.
It's funny how often this has come up this past week, but I am in the process of finally setting back up my studio. Now, as you guys know, I don't have a studio proper, but when I lost my Mac a couple years ago, I lost everything. I lost all the settings, my sounds, my interfaces that I had set up and worked with for like 15 fucking years, and I just haven't sat down to set that all up. I still have all the shit. I just need to set up all the keyboards and all the interfaces and the mics, and then the rest is software dialing in, and I'm motivated to do that. That's the only reason why you haven't heard anything musically from me in a couple of years, because if I had all that shit set up, I would have put out a new Bloody Oranges album last year when I was home all day long, but I was focusing on other things. But I will get you a strange triv proper jingle in the not too distant future.
Me would like very much. Quick break here.
Yeah, let's do a quick break, and then we won't have to break again because we gotta end with your new pick.
Oh yes.
I'm curious about this one because you've given us a few warnings. So all right, 2 and 2.
By curious.
Is it Boy George?
Oh, Koopy.
Strange triv.
Did you hear that, Ron?
Oh yeah. It sounds a bit like Love Hurts, and I love it.
Love Hurts. Say that again, Lyle.
Did you hear that? They upped my needle to 14 gauge for it's been like a week and a half.
14 gauge.
14 gauge. If you were to
trying to think of a guitar string.
If it was a guitar string, it would be definitely the fatty.
Yikes!
Why? It's about the size, so they could get blood through the machine. The thing is they're crippling me. The crippler was getting crippled on the dialysis machine.
Not right.
Oh, my mind hole. Yeah.
But what they would do is they would crash me out. So like the last half hour, I would crash out and I'd have to tap out. Fuck, I can't do this. You're gonna kill me. Just get me off the fucking machine.
Is it working though?
Fuck no.
No. Is it as painful as it sounds like it would be?
Yes, very much so.
It's like putting a small stick in you.
Mm-hmm.
Like
the skin, the 2 bites I have on my arm, you've seen them before, probably about twice the size as they were. And they're, it's real thin skinned, right? So it's like really, really thin skin because it's been, think about it, 3 years, every other day getting stuck there, I don't even know. how many times I've been stuck there in that, it's like a 2-inch little area, that they stick me in.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's bad.
What gauge do you say it was?
It was 14 gauge. They only
standard acoustic guitar string is 12 gauge.
Yeah, the only 12 gauge they could go. That's the only needle that they could go down lower to, which is bigger. And nobody's in that facility has even seen them. So like 14 is the biggest like they got.
Damn.
They'd have to special order the 12. But as any nurses listening,
gotta send away.
Yeah, just take a fucking a reed and stick it through your arm.
Yikes. Ugh. Rough.
But the good news is they did take me off the water pills today. I was taking Lasix, which is not an eye thing. It's actually something to make you urine, just a bladder thing.
I took something like that when I had high blood pressure.
You're supposed to take it like if you got pneumonia. It helps get the water and shit out of your lungs. And that's what my problem was. I had water in my lungs from the edema. And then ever since I had the heart surgery, all that edema kind of went away. So all the water that I was carrying on my legs and stuff are gone, and my ankles and stuff. So they decided today to take off. They were thinking maybe that might be the reason why they're crashing me out in dialysis.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Woof. More fun for the Lylester. Jesus. All right,
guys. Well, you want to fucking do a little, what's that? It's almost like I can hear the jingle now, Ron. Give me a little preview.
Strange trip.
Nope. Didn't stick the landing.
Well, I didn't say I was going to set it up during the break.
God damn it, Ron.
I should have grabbed my guitar, though. I could have figured out. I'm pretty good at coming up with tunes. Quickly.
Yeah,
come up with some
It's Jesus
shit.
Christ and a nice cool laugh.
Well, it's a Florida man and a crocodile. Probably some brown stuff, too.
If it's square, turn it around.
It's squares in nature and a poop on a roof. And Ron's going with both. Oh, dear. John Mark, you back from break?
I'm here, yeah.
Okay.
If it smells like food, it's probably a brown thing, too.
Must be an audio issue. He wasn't there. No.
Yeah.
He's not amused.
It's a disconnect. Yeah, weird.
Okay.
It's Chris that might get him fired.
Yeah. I can't get Strange Brew out of my head.
If I'm not mistaken, Lyle
I did.
beat your guys' ass last week in the quote game.
Even handily.
Said bad boy.
Just took you down to 14 Gageville, if you know what I'm saying.
Didn't even warn you. Stuck it in. Bam.
He's going to go first today, Lyle. You're going to be actually going first, and we're playing for people. Lyle, you're going to be playing for our buddy Russ McCaw.
Russ, it's going to be awesome.
Ronster,
be great.
You're
going to be...
Or Beetlejuice.
Ronster, you'll be going second. You're playing for the lovely TJ, who's going to come on and play for herself next week, perhaps.
So maybe I should purposely botch this so she can?
Yeah.
Would it work that way? How's that work?
I shouldn't have said anything clearly. Fuck. Now you're in your own head about it, Ron.
Yeah, now she's 100%.
Hold on. Let me open this truly.
Although I desperately owe TJ a win at some point.
Or
yeah, you really do.
Could be like Avalanche Outlaws, and it could all be fake and scripted.
Although you could argue, couldn't it, let's say that I win for her tonight.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be a good idea to make the reward that she gets to come on and play?
There you go. That's it. It's a treat.
Have we worked this out?
Yeah.
I mean, we can just make it up.
Yeah, I mean, fuck it, we'll do it live.
Yeah, and then I'll play for somebody else.
Yeah, that's great. But why don't you just play your heart out tonight and see how it goes?
Yeah, Chris is like, that's great. Getting ahead of yourself there, dipshit. Why don't you get one correct answer and then we'll talk. Okay, so when I win, and Chris is like, yeah, we don't need a plan yet. Gotcha.
This is the slim down news quiz. It only has 2 questions.
Let's just go straight to the tiebreaker.
For Ron. Okay, well, guess what, guys? I know it's been a while, but question 1 is the Florida Daily Dubs.
It's a Florida man and a crocodile. A square in nature on the roof with a crocodile.
A brown herring or a weed question. Okay. This is Florida Daily Dubs. It happened back in 2019. A 23-year-old man was surfing when he was attacked by a shark.
Shark.
Now, his bites were not life-threatening.
It's a wolf and a goat and a coyote and a shark. Sorry.
So EMTs show up, and he kind of refuses service medical attention, and instead he opts to do this.
Surgeries? I'd do it. Fight it up.
He went to the bar for some liquid medical attention.
Yeah, I need painkiller. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, not a bad call at all.
I don't need your Band-Aids.
One for me, one for my wound.
Yeah.
Was it B, he squeezed some of his blood into the water in an attempt to lure the shark back so he could get a selfie with it?
Oh, yeah, man. That's how you do it.
Remember my sweet taste?
Too believable.
Come back to me, baby.
Back to daddy.
Thanks for summoning me back.
The
swim back made me hungry.
Yeah, sorry, mate. See, he had his friends, quote, hold him back as he tried to venture into the water with a set of brass knuckies for a fucking rematch, man.
Ding, ding, ding.
That is the ultimate hold me back.
This is Boston?
You don't know anything about me, Mr. Shark.
Is this Australia?
Florida, baby. Come on. Stay with us, Lyle. Florida Daily Dubs.
Sorry.
Or was it D? He immediately hired a professional shark hunter to try to track and kill the beast.
Ooh, revenge.
Yeah, the hitman.
Surfer was out there, got chopped out by a shark.
Sorry.
Yeah, and he immediately did one of these things. Lyle, what are you going to go with?
Damn, if I was going to get bit by a shark, but I'd have to be in Florida, though, so I'd have to be kind of on bath salts. Damn. We're two, Russ.
Yeah.
Channel me the answer.
Important start.
Russ, yep. He's channeling. What are you going to go with?
I'm going to go with the Knucks. Let's go. Come on.
Brass Knuckies?
Round
Okay.
two. Ding, ding.
Brass knuckles.
Go, bro.
Shark punching knuckles. I could so picture some fucking douche out on a fucking beach. It's like, no, let me go, bro. Let me go.
Get off me, bro.
To punch a shark.
Fucking tangle tonight.
The brass knucks. I'm sorry. Go through all the other answers real quick.
He went out for some drinks, liquid medical attention, as he would call it. He squeezed some of his blood into the water in an attempt to lure the shark back for a selfie. Or he hired a professional shark fisherman, a hitman, if you will, shark hitman, to try to track and kill the beast.
God,
with the brass knuckies.
Too good. I'm tempted to go with the selfie because one of the things we didn't get to tonight on my list was a girl that was trapped on a car that was sinking in the snow, and she was being rescued, but then ran back up on top of the car while she was being rescued and got a selfie. She, I guess she made it safely to shore, but what a dipshit thing to do.
I wonder if she took one from the ambulance, too.
Hey, no, I wasn't putting anybody else's life in danger taking that selfie, including my own. I was already strapped. Like, where was I going to go? I've thought about it would be hilarious if I was taking that selfie in the ambulance. And you ever, like, drop the phone on your face when you're holding it over your head? It's I was like holding it up high enough to get a selfie, and it just broke my fucking nose.
Like, oh, did you knock your tooth out in the accident too? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like splitting
delete.
See, they split my tooth.
Man, that gap would be huge.
I'd be a hockey player if I lost any other tooth.
Sure they would.
But there's something that for some reason I want to go with. He hired a hitman. That's pulling me further away from the selfie. Yeah. All believable, all good answers, but I'm going to go with D. He straight up hired a hitman to go out and revenge the person that took a bite out of his paw.
Brass knuckies.
Oh, baby. Once you go brass knuckies.
Boop, 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 boop.
Just go brass
knuckles.
Go.
Question 2. In what is being called a medical first, recently a man in Toronto received a double lung transplant. But what's neat about this particular surgery was A, The lungs were completely grown in a lab.
Whoa.
Oh, impossible lungs.
Like a lab coat.
Beyond lungs.
Beyond breathers.
Oh my God! Possible lungs kill me. Okay. Was it B? The organs he received were flown to the hospital via drone.
Cool.
I thought you might appreciate this entire setup, Lau, in general. See, the man was a surgeon. Excuse me. The man receiving the lungs was a surgeon, and he abated anesthetic and assisted with the surgery via a mirror.
Oh, man.
Assisted?
That always cringes me. Ooh.
Or is it D? The doctors were in Japan and Skyped into a robot so that they could control to perform the surgery from afar.
Oh, okay. I'm going to need the question. I got the answers, but I need the question one more time.
Something happened recently that they're calling a medical first, so something that's never been done before.
Right.
A man in Toronto received a double lung transplant, and this was a part of that story. Was it A, the lungs were completely grown in a lab? B, the drones he received were flown into the hospital via drone? C, the man was a surgeon. He didn't use anesthetic and assisted with the surgery. Or D, the doctors kind of remoted into a robot from Japan to perform the surgery.
So, technology.
Yeah.
What a great thing. They have sex toys that you could actually link up like Bluetooth-wise.
Dildotonics, right?
Yeah.
Is that right, John Mark?
Completely on the other side.
Teledildonics.
Dildotonics sounds way worse.
Like sweet love to each other clear across the world. So I'm going to say that the doctors were from China and
no.
Okay.
From Japan.
Yeah, Japan and Skyped in. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say, yeah. Yeah, so China.
And they both had sex toys, and they were both fucking each other. You see?
Dildo.
Okay.
Where are you going, Lyle?
I'm not going anywhere. I'm right here. Chris is going. I think.
Oh, did we lose Chris?
I think so.
I think so.
I just iced you guys for a sec. Is that cool?
I don't know.
Put us on ice like a fucking lung transplant.
Where'd you go?
All right, Lyle, what you feeling?
Sorry.
I'm gonna go with the whole sex toys. Mm-hmm.
Lyle's going with sex toys.
Yeah.
I might beat him on this one.
No, the doctors were over in Japan.
Yeah. From China, right?
China. Twice. In a row.
Okay. You're going for D. What do you want, Ronster?
Oh, wait. Let me do it this way. I'm going with number D.
Thank you. Keep that handy, Lyle.
Number
fired up.
Number D.
D.
I am leaning toward number B.
The drone.
No. I'm sorry. Number A.
Oh,
I like the impossible lungs.
Impossible lungs.
I know that's been something we've been trying to do. I haven't been paying attention as to whether we've done any kind of petri dish, if you will, grown transplant. I feel like we should be there by now.
Stem cells, man. With stem cells, like if I wanted to, if it was legit, all they'd have to do is take stem cells. They could grow me a kidney, and then a year later slap it in me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
well, maybe Lyle just talked me out of it, but I'm gonna stick with it.
Okay.
Sorry,
going
TJ. With sounds like you might be on next week anyway, though. Win or lose.
She's shaking her head so hard right now. I can see it from here.
I think everyone is.
Okay. John Mark.
So we got grown in the lab, delivered by drone. The surgery was done remotely via Skype or something. What was the other one?
Saw himself with a mirror.
Assisted with the surgery.
That's a real thing. So I know a
that's
story.
Definitely happened. But with lungs?
I don't know about lungs.
Double lung transplant.
So how is he talking?
So what was the fourth one?
Huh?
What was the fourth one?
There's lungs grown in lab, flown via drone, did the surgery himself with the team, or robots took over from the Orient.
The Orient.
Somehow not better.
Somehow not better. Come on,
Didn't we just talk about this? The only place you see the word Orient or Oriental is in rugs and Top Ramen.
Yeah. No, I remember this.
And even that is suspect.
But Top Ramen, we confirmed, is an Asian-based company, so they can call whatever the fuck they want as far as I'm concerned.
They were doing it for. They called it that for us dumbass people over here.
I need to do a little mini soup du jour on I always say entomology, the etymology of Oriental and why it's frowned upon as opposed to Asian, especially since some Asian people still use it, kind of like Indian and Native American. Anyway, where you swaying, John Mark?
I don't know. I think I'll go with drone delivery.
Drone deliver. Put you down for a B.
Okay.
So you guys are spread out.
It's not 2-1 this time. I feel better about that.
Okay, question 3. Wow, this is a deuce. Okay, singer Meghan Trainor. You guys know who she is?
No.
Name sounds familiar.
She has a hit song. I can't remember what the hell it's called. Pop singer. That's the one. Yeah, right. All about that bass. About that bass. No travel. About that.
Okay.
Anyways, she made a startling admission about a remodel her and her husband made in their new home. What was the statement she made that got the attention of basically all of the media at once for about a day? I'm surprised if any of you hadn't seen this, but what was it? Was it A, that she and her husband got 2 fancy full-size beds and sleep separately, but push them together when they want to get amorous?
Yeah. It's a good way
Was
to
it
live.
B?
She
mentioned that they had ceiling mirrors installed in nearly every room for extracurricular viewing.
Don't you?
It's a good way to do things too.
They're approved.
It goes right next to my handlebars in my room.
My problem with the mirror on the ceiling is I could never see them without some horror movie imagery in my head. Like that's gonna fall off and cut us both in half.
Her head turn.
Yeah. And we'll see each other being cut in half.
Sounds like a great Final Destination death.
Yeah, it does. Probably was done.
Was it? Oops, I lost my spot there. Was it C? They installed a 42-inch screen in their shower so they could watch Ted Lasso together while they cleaned.
Fuck yes.
Dude,
I'm all about that.
When I finally get around to seeing Ted Lasso, it had better be the best goddamn TV show of all time with as much fucking hype. People never shut the fuck up about this show.
Here's the thing. I told you about it once. Mm-hmm. Over this last 10 days I've been at that RV, when I got home every night, I would put Ted Lasso on, feel better. I watched the whole thing again. Yeah. And it did it.
It lives up to the hype, huh?
It makes you feel better about people. It's like a positive, but funny. It's still funny, It's not like it's just you make you feel better about things. I don't know. You got to see it, man. Anyways, or was it D? They had 2 toilets installed in their bathroom side by side so they could poop together at the same time.
Poop together.
You can play battle shits.
Again, Meghan Trainor made the news
scissors for the last
2 months ago.
Rock, paper, scissors. It is of any consequence with 2
I think
toilets.
it's more plop, splash, and tinkle.
Who's gonna get up with the toilet paper? We're out.
I lost another round of pop, splash, and hangle.
I got the blue splash. Did I win?
Again, just briefly recapping, singer Meghan Trainor made a startling admission about oh god, that's trying to reconnect me like
I haven't had a pebble shitting for fucking ever.
Lucky.
TMI. I wouldn't say it was a good story.
You sounded like you missed the good old days. Like, you know what I miss? The little fucking rabbit turd shit.
I don't miss it. I was so constipated for most of my life. There were times when I thought that I was going to just lose my taint. Like it would go from balls to giant ass.
It was like one of those apes.
Oh, it was brutal. Oh, I used to have terrible constipation. Yeah, now I got problems in the other direction. I need to dial that shit in. Quite literally.
You're not peeing yourself, are you?
Not yet, but I'm 46. Okay. Wait, am I 47?
You said the other direction.
No. The things are, things are moving a little quicker than they should.
A little faster.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Really, I thought I went with Lyle on that. I was like, is something wrong with the wrong stick?
Boy, that's a different picture altogether. Now I'm all clogged up on the front. You boys feel me?
Hey, Ron, don't worry about it. I got you covered. I got some of those pills.
Now it's party in the back.
I've been pissed in 4 days. You guys been... What does it take, good Lord, to just get the party going all around? Can it just be a party 360?
I've got the abdominal health of a mullet.
Sometimes I change directions, but I never change haircuts. That's kind of how it is. It just flopped. It didn't really there's some beautifully balanced haircut for my abdominal system in there somewhere. I just haven't found the right barber, I guess. But where the fuck are we?
Let me revise the story for you as we jump into guesses. Meghan Trainor made a weird confession on the news about a remodel in her house. It was that her and her husband have full-size beds they push together when they want to fuck. B, she mentioned they had ceiling mirrors installed in nearly every room so they could watch each other fuck. C, they installed a 42-inch screen in the shower so they could watch Ted Lasso. Or D, they had 2 toilies installed side by side so they could poop together.
Rich people, the one thing is, it seems like that most people would want, or most people would, and even as a couple, I think, would, only for her fact that she wouldn't have to worry about the toilet seat being up, is to actually install a urinal in a bathroom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of people with fancier houses, people with a lot of money, that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about the whole 2 toilet things.
2 toilets, so side by side so they could poop together.
No, I get that, but I'm like, rationale.
Yeah. Right. Sometimes you just want to be real close with somebody, Lyle. You haven't experienced that level of closeness yet, clearly. Neither have I.
2 toilets to clean, though.
Well, yeah. You have to have
I clean
a really
2
big...
toilets in the morning. I clean 2 toilets at night.
I'm going to go with the... Oh, goddamn. I wanted to go with the ceiling mirror because, who haven't done that needs to do that. I had done that once, but I had taken it down for the same reasons Ron was talking about. For security. I was scared it was going to fall. No, I just have it on the wall. It's a big one. It's like
put it on the wall. You can still watch each other. You can still that still works. It's safer.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the TV in the bathroom.
TV in the bathroom for Ted Lasso.
Well, no, I don't care about what you're watching. But dude,
it wasn't in fact part of the answer.
I do it all the time. It's one of the most relaxing things that I know how to do anymore.
Watch Ted Lasso?
No, I'll just get in the shower and I'll take my iPad and I'll put it on YouTube and I'll watch whatever the hell I want to watch, and I'll stick it up on a shelf that I have above the shower, and throw on the massager thing. And the things just give me the shower's giving me a massage, and I get to watch my YouTube and just chill and kind of relax. I like it. Mm-hmm. You should try it. If you haven't done it, you need to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, TV for sure, 100%.
Well, here's my thinking. I don't find any... It sounds like people were sort of surprised and shocked. I don't find any of this shocking, except maybe the fact that they have 2 toilets. And I think the only reason people would be sort of put off by that is the thought of them using them in unison, which they probably wouldn't terribly often. I think it is sort of like going down where Lyle was originally going before he zigged and then zagged, is the fact that I know that I'm always going to leave my toilet the way that I want it. So I'm never going to have those surprises. That's interesting. I'm going to go with the toilets, but I'll also say I personally think that the answer to all this transgender shit, hanging signs on this door or that door, how we're going to do all this in the future, I do think we are just heading to a different type of public restroom. I think it's just common sense how the world is moving. I think that we are probably looking at the end of the urinal, because if you think about it, as convenient as it is for dudes, it's just
wasted space
a
for
toilet
women.
works just as well. Like, we can pee anywhere, especially dudes. So the urinal, I think, is probably on borrowed time. The way we're headed.
It doesn't waste as much water as a toilet. It's free flowing water versus
maybe it's time to redesign the toilet for that in mind. That's a good point.
Yeah.
All of this is I mean, seriously, this is all going to be part of how we redesign. We're already doing that to some degree. There are more and more bars, especially in Washington State. I know of 3 bars in Seattle that for years now have had co-mingling bathrooms, and they still have the urinal. So you can walk in, you can be a woman, you can walk into the bathroom, walk past 3 or 4 dudes with their schlongs out peeing in the urinal. You're probably not going to see anything, but you could, depending on the design of the urinal. And most of them don't have the little mini stalls in between them.
Dividers, yeah.
But just imagine if you got rid of all that and you just added a few more regular stalls. Everyone's in their own little stall. Who fucking gives a shit? Someone's shitting their ass out next to you. You're just going to do your biz and get out, right? I think that's the most common sense solution, but we shall see. John Mark, what are you feeling here? Curious how you answer this one.
I'm gonna go for the double brown herring.
Toilies?
Double brown
Well, it
herring.
reminds me of, I don't know if it was SNL or Mad TV, but there was the love seat. That was like, for the couple who does everything together, now you can. And that's exactly what it was. It was like a 69 toilet scenario where they were side by side, so you could be looking into each other's eyes and holding hands while you were doing your biz. It was not the funniest bit, and not the best recap of the less funniest bit. We can move on now.
Okay, all right. Well, interestingly, question 4 is not only a listener-submitted question. Thank you, TJ.
No.
It does.
But it's also hails from fucking Florida, boys. So,
shit.
so Lyle, are you listening to me?
Yeah.
Do you know what this means, Lyle?
I don't
How
know.
many points this might be worth, Lyle?
It's worth 2.
God damn it.
No, it was perfect.
Well, now I gotta make it worth 2 points.
You gotta make it worth 3. You gotta make it worth 3, because this, I feel like I have a chance to catch up, because I feel like I might have missed the first question. And Lyle and John Mark both went the same way.
2 points.
2 points. When it should have been 3.
Well, I needed triple points and I needed a stat.
Okay. Triple points.
I don't know why. It makes me so happy. I hope it makes our listeners smile throughout their otherwise shitty day as much as it does me. Okay, I'm listening. This is key now. I feel like I got some making up to do.
3 points on the line here. Okay, during a University of Miami football game last summer, the game had to be paused because a stray cat got into the stadium and did this. And of course I have video. The A fell asleep in the middle of the 50-yard line.
Oh, so sweet.
B grabbed a slice of pizza from a fan and drug it down the sideline.
Feral cat.
Yeah. Oh.
My snack, bitch.
That's my slice, meow.
Was it C, fell from the upper deck and was caught by a group of fans?
Upper decker?
Oh, upper decker catcher.
Or was it D, the cat was attacking the kicker's practice net thinking it was some kind of predator?
Damn.
Adorable.
Okay, 3 points on the line, Lyle.
I
What are you gonna
want
go
it to be D there. It's funny. I can see that. But I'm going to go with the cat that thinks it's a squirrel jumping off the second story.
One from the upper deck.
Well, yeah, but it's not what they call a stadium. The stands. Going to jump off the second floor stand into the crowd. Yeah.
Okay.
Call that Steve cat back in the day.
Okay. All right. Monster.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that as well. That sounds like a dramatic sight to behold.
Okay, put you down for that as well. C, John Mark.
What were
Family
all the
game?
options?
Fell asleep in the middle of the 50-yard line, grabbed a slice of pizza from a fan and drug it down the sidelines, fell from the upper deck but was caught by a group of fans, or attacked the kicker's net.
I think when it's 3 points on the line like this, I got to make it a family game.
I like the way you think.
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait. What was B?
Grabbed a slice of pizza from a fan and drug it down the sidelines.
Okay, so we all went with the same thing.
You all went with the same thing. Let me do some quick tallying. Oh, interesting.
Watch your rattling, John Mark.
No watching.
Somebody out there do a supercut of every time I've said, watch your rattling, John Mark. And John Mark said immediately no.
He gets progressively saltier is my favorite part about it. Okay, let's go over the answers here. Question 1 was a Florida Daily Dubs were 2 points. Thank you, Lyle. Appreciate you, sir. A 23-year-old man was surfing when he was attacked by a shark. His bites were not life-threatening, but after EMTs arrived, he refused medical service and opted instead to go out to the bar and get plastered.
Oh, shit.
Son of a bitch.
That's summer.
The mildest of the answers.
Okay.
But
Okay.
Yeah, so nobody got that right. So
I
we're
thought
off
for
to
sure
an
I got
interesting
that wrong and they got them right. All right, good. We're doing okay.
Question 2. In what is being called a medical first, recently a Toronto man received a double lung transplant. But what was interesting about this particular procedure was the lungs arrived via drone. First time ever. 6 minutes. It took 6 minutes. Some would have taken a lot longer.
It's like a little igloo cooler.
Got Mark on the board with the point.
Damn.
Okay.
And so that's TJ. Oh, no, I'm sorry. TJ's not looking good.
TJ's.
Abby.
I'm handling TJ's losing.
Okay. Question 3. Singer Meghan Trainor made the news a few months ago when she made the startling admission about a remodel her and her husband made to their home. It was that she had 2 toilets installed side by side, so
sweet.
they poo together at the same time.
Nice.
There was a bit more to that story. Obviously, they have babies at the time, and were on the same sleep schedule, and would often have to get up and pee at the same time. And she was like, "Can we just have 2 toilets installed?" So she did admit that they did poo together at one time at the same time.
In the pantheon of we're rich, let's do some crazy shit. Getting a bonus toilet for parenthood stuff. Yeah, sure. Not too exorbitant.
No, totally. But funny. Ron and John Mark got that correct, meaning John Mark has 2 points and Ron has 1.
Okay, quick show of hands. How many times have we peed through our girlfriend's legs while she was peeing?
Spider style?
Is that what it's called?
I don't know. That's what we're not call it.
Sounds right. Like, that's a thing we've all done, yeah? Yeah,
probably.
Like,
I can't
that's
remember
the solution.
A specific time,
for
but
poor people.
I'm pretty sure that probably had to happen at one point in time, somewhere.
I mean, dude, I just like piss in the sink if I had to,
Back in the day, that's all we did. When we would play shows like in these shitty little dive bars in Seattle, and there was between the heroin addicts that would just nod off in the fucking shitter, there was never an open toilet when you go in there, and the sinks are about usually around a doable level. You just fucking do it. What's the difference? I was always courteous and rinsed it away afterwards, but you'd never wash your hands in a men's bathroom. Anybody? Mm-hmm.
Indeed. Okay, where are we at here?
Seattle in the 90s.
Yeah, there's a Mudhoney album that I think is actually all of them peeing in the sink, and it's not to be funny. It's like, no, this is just what you do because the stalls are full.
Question 4, worth not 1 point, Lyle, not 2 points, Lyle, but 3 points.
That's perfect. I think that was perfect. We had 3 echoes.
First try. Nailed it. Okay, 3 points on the line
here. The world's
here.
least predictable sound effect.
Oh, it's okay.
University of Miami football game last summer. The game had to be paused because a stray cat got into the stadium and did this. I will just Facebook message this video I took of the video.
Mm-hmm. I've actually seen the video, so I don't have to wait.
Oh, fine. Almost there.
Have you guys seen the video, or did you guess?
No.
I don't think I did.
Interesting.
Spoilers.
Very
Spoilers.
interesting. Well, I guess I did spoil it with that. We all went with the same answer.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Chris.
No, kidding, no.
It stressed me out to watch.
It was stressful, wasn't it?
Even though I knew okay, well, did it come over yet, you guys?
Yeah, you guys should have.
Learn how to touch the sky.
It was, in fact, the cat. Now, if this is the same story I'm thinking of,
in there anyway in the first place?
It wasn't in the stands. It was up in the rafters, right? Like
how did
it was?
Well, just think about, you know how cats are. They like to climb, and all that is in a stadium is a bunch of catwalks leading to other catwalks. It just found itself up there, probably got super spooked by the noise, and found itself like, I got to get away from this shit. And suddenly it's in the middle of the fucking stadium up on a rafter. And people spotted it, so they... sorry, Chris, you probably have all the deets right in front of you.
No, that's it. You've got more than I do at this point.
Well, I think somebody grabbed a flag, if I remember right. And
that's what they caught it in.
And they kind of caught it, but it also kind of hit the ground. It broke its leg. But I think it was okay. And somebody, I don't know how the fuck they managed to catch it, to take it to the vet, because a scared, injured cat is not something that I would want to try to grab. But yeah, these people are heroes. If they hadn't slowed its fall with that flag, it probably would have died. You never know with cats. They're fucking amazing with the falls that they can handle. But yeah, it was sad and scary.
You see its body shift into like flying squirrel mode, though, right?
That's what they do. They got that instinct. I must make myself as the least aerodynamic as possible. And we had a cat that climbed up a telephone pole once when I lived down at my parents' house, and we were about to do the old classic thing where you call the fire department, because we're like, it'll come down. And then like 4 hours later, it's still up there crying, and it's just like, fuck, I guess we do need to call the fire department. But right then we just went over there and we were just like calling it, and it finally started to try to walk down, but then he freaked out and then he just jumped, and we're like, oh my God, we weren't smart enough to have a fucking blanket. If we would just had a blanket ready, it wouldn't have been that big a deal. I don't know why we didn't think of it.
Yeah.
But it just it did that. It went in flying squirrel mode, and it was sort of like rocked back and forth. It did this amazing thing where he like stabilized himself, somehow falling, and then he landed in some fairly soft sand and dirt. It was an orchard. Then he went tearing off, and he was fine. But then that's like 30 fucking feet. This is taller, of course, in the stadium. But apparently, you never know what a cat can survive. But I'm so glad that people saw it, and they all, like, the whole fucking stadium was like gasping when that cat. Crazy. If you watch the video, you can hear them like gasp. They're like, oh. And I love that. I love that they were all so concerned about this little creature's safety, and heroes that saved its little life. And even more heroic was whoever surely must have got scratched all to hell, somehow securing that cat to get it to a vet and make sure that it was okay. But that's what I remember of the story anyway. Someone was able to catch it and go get it mended. Famous kitty. Crazy story.
Crazy story. John Mark, you are our winner tonight, but more importantly, Abby Holmes is our winner. She will be entered into the next championship round. Wow.
Nice.
Yay.
That is good news. I like that quite a bit. Sorry about that, though, TJ. Gonna have to kick Ron in the face next time you see him try to knock a tooth loose.
Well, this is what I'm thinking, though. Why don't we just have TJ? Look, think about how much TJ has submitted.
Yeah, don't you try to pawn off that you threw this to try to get TJ on here. I don't want to hear it.
Well, no,
okay?
she would have. Well, if I would have won, she would have got in organically, right? I think it'd be funner, and she'd be more successful if she came on and played for herself. I would love to see how TJ does this game live as we do it.
Yeah, I'll just use all the stories she sends me. Give her a little upper hand.
Give her a little heads up. So how do we do this, though? That means maybe we just pull somebody else, like a runner-up?
No,
Can we
I
figure
don't
it
know.
out?
So we got Abby in there, so we have 2 people now queued up for championship. We'll play next week.
Oh, we'll just do another round. Okay.
We'll just do a normal round. TJ will play, and if she gets in, she gets in. She best you gents. She best you gents. And that's that. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the idea of TJ coming on and playing for herself, so she can actually have a chance at winning. Because she's been getting stuck with the Ronster quite a bit lately. Although I feel like she's been attached to John Mark, and John Mark let her down. I feel like people, when they get John Mark, they must feel like they've won the lottery. Like, wow, how can this go
in real life too?
Any other way? Mm-hmm. It's true. Well, that was a hard fucking round. I feel like this is getting harder, not easier. And I actually read a shit ton of weird news. The whole point of the show was going to just be a weird, wacky news roundup. So I was reading a whole bunch of shit. I haven't seen any of this stuff except the cat one.
Good. Well, a lot of it is I try to save it from a few months ago.
That's smart.
Throw you off the scent a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. You don't want to double up on your square in nature.
I shan't do that.
Shan't. Well, what you shan do is give us your pick. Now, for those of you who haven't been playing along, I should say for those who, what am I trying to say? Well, I've cut way back on my booze. Now, the problem with that is it hits me harder. I'm like 2.5 beers into it now, and it's having the same effect that my 4th whiskey used to. What I'm trying to say is we have reset the bar for the, I guess, album club, record club pick for, Jesus, my brain is just blank.
We have a new category.
That's the
Jesus.
We had a new sometimes
category.
It's just like there's a word just standing outside, freezing in the cold. You've only to open the door, and you just can't figure out how to turn the fucking knob.
I might have been having a stroke. I was a little concerned. I was like, "Can somebody go over there? Can someone get
Well, I got a twitch an eye here. Is that a clue? A new category."
I'll be there.
What I'm trying to say is,
that's true. We can be stroke buddies. Stroke buddies. That's a different movie.
That's a whole different show.
The new category
I've seen that movie.
is most underrated album. That, I guess, is pretty self-explanatory, except Christopher has been warning us on the show and off the show. You've given us a few warnings. I'm really curious where you're going here, because you've braced us for something.
You have, here's the deal. I don't believe any of you know this band, but you can take a guess of genre if you'd like to, or anything you want. Guesses you want to make, that would be amusing to me.
Green Day.
Well, yeah, I was thinking like, well, I wouldn't call Green Day emo, but somewhere in that's your shtick for the most part. You like stuff that
like
could
punk.
be, definitely pop punk.
Rock,
but I feel like that's
punk.
obvious. I feel like we would expect that of you.
Yeah, because he's like he keeps saying, "Oh man, you guys are gonna hate it. You got to be nice. You got to be nice." And it's like, well,
open mind.
I'm going with like pop, like something like Miley Cyrus or some shit.
Interesting.
Have an open mind.
John Mark, what do you think he's going with?
I don't know, man. It's kind of throwing me for a loop, because it's like, I think, like you're saying, I think we have a pretty good handle on his general taste in music. Like this is what I'm into for the most part. But then, so I don't think it could be anything that we would consider to be that. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so concerned that we wouldn't like it, right? Like
that's what I'm thinking.
What about Creed?
Wouldn't be concerned at all. Like, get ready to rock out for Jesus. Can we get a hint?
Get ready to have Christ on my side.
Can we get a hint, like what the era is, like what decade it's from?
Fine.
I'll tell you the year it came out, because it's prevalent to the story. It came out between 2008 and 2009.
Wow.
Okay.
Which was, if you remember, Ronster, the year we met.
I feel it's got a love story with Ron.
I feel like it could be something on the Twilight soundtrack. I'm sticking with pop.
Okay. Well, here's the deal. You guys really aren't You're really close. And I'm just going to break it down for you. When it comes to music, I have three really strong areas of interest. Like the pop punk, I love rock, and then I love this weird, like strong female lead band. I don't know what it is. I've always been kind of into. So I started with the bands like the Cranberries. Love the Cranberries. Garbage. I loved Garbage's first album. Oh my God, so
Garbage
good.
is great.
Yeah, Garbage is good stuff.
Yeah, Pat Benatar. Letters to Cleo, I liked a bunch.
Ooh,
I liked Evanescence. I love Paramore.
Good.
Evanescence is in one of my possible picks when we get to
yeah, man. Okay, so
guilty pleasures.
What about the Breeders? You ever listen to the Breeders?
I don't know the Breeders.
Yeah.
What? Oh yeah, that pairs both or pop punk and rock and
all right.
Okay. Well, I have a recommendation for you after this is all said and done. So
okay.
Is it the Breeders?
Keep these in mind. Yeah, is it the? I'm gonna take a wild guess here, but
if you want to swagger towards the metal of that in this moment, man, they rock.
Oh, I know. In this moment, yeah.
I haven't even heard of that.
Yeah.
The lead singer's fucking awesome. I met her.
Crazy, yeah. Crazy bitch.
Yeah.
She blocked me.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Photos up I shared it with her on Facebook. Not Facebook, it was MySpace still back then. And she was like, "Oh, you got any more pictures?" It was when they very, very first started out. It's pretty cool.
Awesome.
This transitioned to bands like Isley that Ron always kind of gives me shit for. Similar bands. I love the band Lucius, another one that kind of hits in this vein. But the summer after I moved to Wenatchee, an album came out that I thought was going to be a fucking massive hit. I remember getting this album but from this band, and I had listened to two previous albums, and I thought they were okay. But this album came out, and me and my ex Christina were driving out to Walla Walla to meet some friends that were going to come visit, and we listened to this. We listened to this album, fucking back to front, front to back, all the way there, all the way back, and I was like, this is just an incredible album. And that was by a band called Meg and Dia. Meg and Dia. Meg and Dia is a band that consists of two sisters. One plays the guitar and sings, and one just sings. And I think that so Meg is the guitar player, Dia is the singer, and I think that she has probably one of the most beautiful voices I've ever heard. She can hit these incredible notes. She writes really great songs. I remember walking past an acoustic tent for at Warped Tour one year, and they were there, and I was like, "Oh, what's that?" And I turned and looked, and of course they're like, super beautiful. I'll send you guys some photos of the band here so you have an idea what I'm talking about.
Please don't make me cry.
It's gonna be a tough pill to swallow for John Mark and Lyle for certain. It's very poppy, pop rock is what I think the genre it would fall under.
Running through my head, all the things you said.
I don't know the name of the group, but I've definitely seen them.
Yeah, it's interesting. Cute. So the album we're talking about is an album called Here, Here, and Here. And it's kind of got a wonky title, but I really like the meaning behind it, which I'll get into here. Here's the cover of the album. Sent to you guys too. So let's see. When Meg and Dia were 7 and 8, their parents gave them a guitar and a karaoke machine. And they quickly learned they had those backwards. Like it wasn't, Dia was not going to be playing guitar, Meg was not singing. So they swapped and they started making music together at an early age. So they put 2 albums out that I think are okay, like super poppy punky. The songs, it just doesn't sound like very high quality in my opinion. And at this time, it's like 2006, 2007, and I think bands like Avril Lavigne and Paramore are just killing the radio stations. So they're out looking for the next one, and they think it might be Meg and Dia, basically. So they pick Meg and Dia up, this label does, and they throw a bunch of money at them to go record this album. And they're like, here's the deal. We have a slot at the studio in like 19 days. Can you be ready? And they're like, sure. They hang the phone up. They've got like 1 song written. So they Meg goes through, and GarageBand was getting really popular then. Ron, as you had recorded a couple albums on it at this point.
Every Bloody Oranges album has been recorded on GarageBand.
So she gets super nerdy into GarageBand and records the entire album in 18 days on GarageBand. And that turns out to be such a boon for them that they actually use some of it on the actual recording. They're able to do some of that, which I thought was really cool. I found this incredible like little YouTube series that they had recorded, like a diary from recording this album, doing research for this. So I was really pleased to find some of these little gems. So she does this in 17 days. They go into the studio. And they get introduced to the producer they selected, whose name is Howard Benson. Does that ring a bell to any of you guys?
Sounds familiar, but no.
See, I didn't know him either, but he's a Grammy-winning producer. He's been producing 4 to 8 albums a year since the 80s, including bands like TSOL, Motorhead, like all of Motorhead's albums, Less Than Jake, Zebrahead. He did the first My Chemical Romance album, which was a contender for this fucking segment, except it's not. Everyone, that's a well-loved album. I think you guys need to listen to it though. But anyways, it's not their first. It's called 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge. I think it's a fucking great album. Anyways, so they record this stunning album in like 3 weeks there, and at one point, Meg asks if there's any way they could add some wind chimes to a song, and the guy's like, "Oh, bro, anything." He's like, he like claps twice, and this dude rolls in with like every percussional instrument you could ever imagine, and you see their fucking eyes light up like it's 2 kids at Guitar Center, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so all of a sudden now we're like, let's put some fucking bongos in the song. So you hear some like great bongos in songs like "Are There Giants Too," for instance. It has this like fucking groove to it. They also really had a vision for doing like a almost like a 4-string quartet piece at the end of the last track. And so he's like, "Oh yeah, no problem. We'll schedule that for Thursday." They come in, they fucking bang it out. As they're watching it, you just see the girls crying, like tears streaming down their face, like, "This is so beautiful. I can't believe this is happening." You know, so just seeing this come to fruition after working on it in GarageBand was really cool for them. The girls are huge literary nerds, so most of the songs are about classic literature. For instance, "Hug Me" on there is entirely about Brave New World, and there's several others, but I didn't write them down. So kind of interesting. The songs all sound weird, like they don't sound like something day-to-day normal people would be encountering. So keep that in mind. They're all about famous books, basically. Start to finish, this album is really good for me, save for one song that I skip almost every time I play it, and that song is "Bored of Your Love," which is a duet with the lead singer of the Plain White T's, who was they were fresh off their huge "Hey There Delilah" hit.
That's right.
Yeah, so
I knew that name. I couldn't remember the song. Yep. Mm-hmm.
We're not far off in a realm from that band in genre. Okay. But I really like the songwriting of these girls. I think it's really brilliant. Tracks 3, 4, and 5 really get into a groove for me. Those are There Giants Too, Inside My Head, and Black Wedding. And Black Wedding was actually the track they tried to make a hit out of. It was supposed to be the single. And that's a fucking great song. I was shocked it wasn't. I did not understand what happened. I thought this was such a well-produced, well-written album. It definitely pop rock, but something I thought would have taken off. But sadly, it didn't. The album drops. The single doesn't take off. They get dropped from their label, and they would go on to record 2 more albums in their grandmother's basement in fucking Oregon that were good, but not great. Mm-hmm. I mean, not the same. And then they would disband. But the story didn't quite end there. Shortly thereafter, Dia, the singer, Dia Frampton, applied to be on a new reality TV show about singing. American Idol's been doing its thing. What's this new show? And it was The Voice. She was on the very first season of The Voice. And she goes on to be a finalist. She makes it she was like 3rd place in the end or something like that. And again, nothing ever really happened from that. I was really bummed out. Meg and Dia did get back together, and now they're doing a new style of music that's not really for me, but I'm glad they're still making music under the Meg and Dia moniker. But I thought that was kind of cool. She did a cover of a Kanye West song that was unbelievable because it had range that the Kanye West song didn't. You know, it was like lyrically, it was like there was melody.
Right.
It was cool. So, anyways, this is my music selection for you guys. The track Here, Here, and Here is the last track on the album, and it's in reference to Mozart, who I guess at one point, they asked where do you get your inspiration from, or where does your music come from, and he said he tapped his heart, his head, and his ears. And he said, here, here, and here, basically. So the album is Here, Here, Here by Meg and Dia. I hope you guys can find at least one song that doesn't... I hope you like at least one song. It's definitely out of the wheelhouse for some of y'all, but maybe the story will help you digest it a bit more.
Chris, always judging every time.
Well, Rob's going to tell you how he feels. We're all going to tell you how we feel, and that's what I like about it. This would not be fun if it were any other way. Okay, so Meg and
Dia, D-I-A.
And Dia, Here, Here, Here. Okay, there it is. I'll be listening to that after the show, and we have a week. We have a week to listen to, and I encourage you all listening at home to listen to Here, 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 and we shall see on the other side of it. Chris's pick for most underrated album. Good story. Similar in some ways to the Super Drag story, actually, where it's just, that's the point of this version of album pick, is something that 100% should have been huge, had all the earmarkings of something that was going to be huge, and for whatever reason, just didn't work. There's that luck aspect that comes into it. There's also the perfect element of timing that you have no control over. It's like you show up when you show up, and you're doing your thing when you're doing it, and sometimes you're just a little ahead of your time or a little behind, and the results are the same. It could be a brilliant album. There's so much good music out there that we'll never hear just because it never got true distribution. So I'm excited to hear it, and interesting that interesting that there's a The Voice tie-in. That'll speak to a lot of people that I know. Sarah is a big fan of The Voice. She loves that show, so I bet she might know them already, but if she didn't know them as a band, then she might recognize them from the show. There was a local performer that ended up on The Voice that did pretty well, I think. I don't think she's from Wenatchee, but she played Wenatchee a lot. Vicky Martinez.
Oh yeah, she plays in my casino all the time.
I think she was more of a West Side based artist, but I think she had some success after that show. It's interesting that
she was in a show. She acted too after that. She was.
Oh really?
She was an actor in I can't remember now. She's in some show now. It's crazy.
Huh. Well, it's interesting that you can have so much exposure and be good and still not get that that's what I'm talking about. It's like there are so many clicks of the wheel that have to line up before you get to that next level thing, and it's intangible and impractical and definitely unfair. So that's your homework, folks, and next week we will have another show, and we will wrap up with all of our thoughts on Here, Here, Here. I'm intrigued, and I'm betting that I'll find some stuff to hang on to.
There's an and in there. Here, here, and here. I know it's a stupid correction, but a correction nonetheless.
Here, 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 I says.
Important. And is important.
And is very important. And on that note, let's say we all
I hate it already.
It sucks. Yeah, we can skip ahead. I really hated track 3. The rest just sucked.
Not judging you as a person, Chris. It's okay.
It's okay, man. I believe in you.
Yeah.
All right, you guys.
Well, I'm curious to check it out, and curious what everyone thinks, and we will discuss that next week along with 9/11, of course, because we got to get to that show. We've been talking about it for a while, and I feel like next week is the week. Until then, tune in, keep on commenting, keep on sharing the show. That's how you're going to get involved with Weird Triv News, Weird Quiz Triv.
Already. Like, subscribe.
Maybe it'll help review when I get the jingle going.
Sing it.
Stick in my head as much as anybody else.
Patreon. Don't forget the Patreon.
It's still up there. I think the Boron Films hijacked.com domain is going to go away. I've been paying for that for 20 years, and I think I've already downloaded all our old episodes. That's where the old show Tales from the Space Pod is hosted. So I need to upload that somewhere else so that we can still offer that as a Patreon perk, a place for people to get all the old episodes, some of which we barely want actually released, but I think it's fair to continue opening. I mean, you got to follow the whole arc.
Yeah.
I still need to go through another greatest hits, because that first greatest hits,
it's so much fun
episode. It's so fun because
we've done a
one
few.
or two times an episode. No, we only did. Well,
you did one.
I did one,
and then I did a couple in the later days. But they weren't. Yeah. Mine were a little more lazy. They were.
Mine were comprehensive. Like I was episode by episode. I listened and really snipped.
And I did. I would do like, here's 20 straight minutes from this episode, 10 from this one. So
they were good episodes.
Yeah, there's a lot of good shit. I mean, it's just we were just a little bit more
unpolished,
insensitive. Certainly unpolished, and that's so much I'm not worried about, because that's just the organic nature of doing a thing for 10 years. You'd better get a little bit better at it, and you'd better sort of morph into what you're doing. But yeah, they're just, some things that we hammered to death, jokes that just got tired probably as soon as we started doing them, but we sort of relied on them a little heavily, and words that we've retired and jokes that we probably wouldn't make these days. But I don't like the idea of deleting them and trying to pretend that never existed, because there's nothing too terrible, and it's just, I think that it's an interesting, more than anything that makes me wince going back and listening to it, especially when we have guests, is I can tell when I'm nervous, and I'm just, for some reason, I had this thing where when I was nervous and I felt like I had to steer the show with such fervor, I just talked like the fucking, sometimes I sound like the Micro Machines guy. You know what I mean? Like the very first episodes was too slow. I'm like, well, you guys hear about this Bigfoot character? He's pretty crazy. And then the later ones, some of them when we have guests, I'm like, and so then you were in this movie, and then when you do, so I want to talk about, it's just like, dude, breathe, slow down. There's no rush.
Just think you're your own worst critic.
Certainly. Well, I should hope so. Although some people have weighed in, as we do know. But anywho, 9/11 next week, y'all. I'll keep you posted on that. I won't delete that until I have it all uploaded somewhere else. So patreon.com/tales from the space pod is where you can still, donate something, or you can do a one-time thing.
Reboot. You should just make a new one.
I will. It's all a matter of sitting down doing shit.
Compress it and then just throw it on like a big giant format, like DVD or just a old hard drive, and then just
talking about the GoFundMe though.
Oh,
well, Patreon. But you don't. Patreon is a subscription thing. I don't think they ever. I haven't checked it in forever. I still get a little bit of money from it. But I stopped pushing it because we weren't really honoring a lot of the perks that we originally talked about doing. Yeah. So it's just diehards that want to throw a little money our way, and we really appreciate that. It does help. This does cost money. I had to be late a week when we did an episode not that long ago because I was so broke. I didn't have $10 to put the fucking show up. That's not to get anybody feeling bad for me. I make my own decisions. I go through these phases of selling a shit ton
and I stand by them.
A shit ton of art, and then I do contract work. I don't have like a full-time job. I could have a full-time job. That's what I mean by I make my own choices. I have chosen this path of being the captain of my own ship to some degree, and it's not lucrative. And usually it works. I can scrape up the money to get by, but it's just barely. And there was one episode not that long ago where I was like, guys, the episode's going to be a week. Like Christopher stepped in, he's like, here's some money, put the episode up, and here's a little bit more money on top of it. And that's why we had the episode that week. But that's just to let you know that money does matter here. When we aren't making a dime off this, it actually costs money. Not that much, but sometimes $10 you don't fucking have is $10 you can't spend. And that's, I think that's the only time that I literally could not afford to put the podcast up. It was a rough week. It got better immediately, and it just was one of those timing things. But if you do want to support the show and you don't want to do a subscription ongoing thing where it's taking out of your bank account like a Patreon, you can go to the Comet Mag. PayPal.me/thecometmag. That goes right into my bank account. It's just, that's how everyone pays for my art that they buy. That's how people donate to some of the burlesque stuff that we do. And you don't have to be a member of PayPal. Some people have had issues. So if you want to donate and you're having issues, let me know. Trust me, I'll find a way of getting that money to the old bank account.
I'll connect A to B.
We'll make that $10 happen. But the paypal.me/thecometmag. And I think that it's fair to be transparent every now and again about the fact that this literally does cost some money, and sometimes it is a burden to keep it fucking going financially. Again, not much, but if you guys are longtime listeners and you haven't supported, that's a good way for you to do it. One-time thing. I don't care if it's $5, $6, $7. Whatever you feel like, a one-time thing, toss it in. We appreciate it. Or keep on listening. The main thing is that you just keep on listening. But do tell a friend. Get somebody else in on it. It's fun and alluring. All right, let's get on out of here. Next week, 9/11, y'all. Have a good week.
Finally.
It's happened to me right in front of my face. It's a $10 bill. That means that this week's show's on time and you don't have to wait for another damn week. Ron doesn't have to buy my painting for $10. It's not far from the life of the Roundster, but it's a good life. It's just a hustle life. And again, it's not a pity story. This is a success story on a lot of levels because I've managed to get by without following a lot of the normal paths that life tries to force you into. And
I'm excited to hear more music come back.
Me too. Yeah. It's been since 2014 since the last full Bloody Oranges album, and that blows my mind.
Well, time goes by fast. I haven't set up anything or recorded anything in years.
Yeah.
You do the same.
Yep. It's a matter of convenience for me. Once it's set up, I know I'll do it, but I just haven't taken the time to set it up.
And I'd love to come to town and put some bass down for you.
Absolutely. And y'all need to come to town. Lyle's basically in town. And we need to sit down and watch that Foo Fighters movie. Sounds like a good time to get ready.
I don't think it's out. When is it out? Is it October? Is it
I don't
know.
Makes sense.
Let's do something soon. Let's fucking do it.
We could probably do something.
I don't care if I have to wear one of those balloon suits.
I've gone back to wearing an N95 because I'm working in close quarters with people, and I don't want to get sick. It's not just Omicron. I keep saying crom, but everything's going around now. Everybody I know is sick with something, and there's bugs going around. I don't want to be sick, so I'm wearing the N95. They say is the only way to keep yourself from getting sick. Even
don't
that's not 100%. Dude, that's the one thing I've been doing even before COVID was a thing. My supplement game is strong because I was diagnosed with a low vitamin D and a weird vitamin B situation years before COVID was a thing. So I had been taking some super high power vitamin D and a B complex over the years before this ever got going. All I really added to the mix was a stronger zinc, but I was already taking a zinc too. So, and everyone around me has been sick for years. I rarely get sick. So,
you know what? I haven't been sick since I quit smoking 3 years ago.
Knock on wood, motherfucker.
I know it does feel like tempting fate, but at this point, they're all the experts are saying, you ain't dodging this one. Everyone's going to get, if you haven't got COVID yet, and even if you have, you're probably still going to get Omni Taco COVID. So we shall see. Tick 'em a talk. Anywho, don't go look at doorknobs all the same. Tune in next week. Our 9th goodbye of the night. Let's say it one more time, making it even 10. Good night.
Bye.
Goodbye. Goodbye. New year, new pitch. Oh, yeah. Take us out, Lyle. Take us out with a 2022.
Okay. 2022.
Works every goddamn time. I don't know why. I so wish we could say stuff and have it be morphed into your little effect, but maybe in 2023. All right.
With
I'm not saying it again.
Bye.
Anyway, you know what? I'm just going to get into my news. So this first story.
Perpetual podcast hell.
Yeah, the only thing worse would be a 24-hour Jerry Springer channel, which apparently exists. Okay.
It does.
Yeah. I'm out.
There we go.
I'm out.
Chris, you out?
Ow.
I done that right there.
Ow, 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 owie, owie, owie. What happens when you slow it down? Can it go like, like, oh?
There's nothing I can do to it. It runs on its own algorithm. So it just does what it does, dude.
Say the word algorithm and see what it does with that.
Yeah, please.
That'll be that. It's like somewhere between Max Headroom and early hip hop, like Herbie Hancock stuff, like boop 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 boop.
Drop the bass. Drop the bass.
Shaka Khan. Let me rock it. Let me feel it. Shaka Khan.
Shaka Khan.
Okay. For the love of God. Everyone tuned out like 40 minutes ago, so let's get on it. we may as well join it.
He-Man, dude.
Okay, take us out. Lyle, you get the final word.
I have power.
All right, good night, you guys.
Good night, fuckers.
That's good.
Question 4 is not only a listener-submitted question. Thank you, TJ.
Hey, Dubs.
But it's also hails from fucking Florida, boys. So, Lyle, are you listening to me?
Yeah.
Do you know what this means, Lyle?
I don't know.
How many points this might be worth, Lyle?
It's worth 2.
God damn it.